Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Nocturnal Nerdcast, Pop Culture in the Dark, YouTube's #1 late night pop culture podcast. At least I'll keep saying it till it happens. All right. So we have a couple guests tonight in the house. As usual, our panel is kind of lining up. We get the same people sort of showing up, which is cool. I think a lot of the viewers appreciate that. We have Joypad Jake in the house directly next to me here on the panel. And occupying all by himself that bottom space, we have 3Dub down there, who is going to keep an eye on the clock. And if he doesn't, then Jake will probably.
You and me are twinning on the X-Men hats today.
Oh, yeah. See, we're doing it. I got my Black Widow shirt on here.
Yeah, I got my Magneto shirt on.
Oh, that's a great cover. That's a Jim Lee cover. I love that one.
Yep, X-Men #1.
Yeah, so we got a few interesting topics today. So over on the Reloaded channel, we're going to be talking about, well, it's all the channels, but these are the titles, so you guys know. Fantastic Four crashes pre-sale numbers. So we're talking about how Fandango and some other theaters had issues with pre-sales, which is pretty crazy. We got some new Superman photos that James Gunn uploaded, like some glossy shots, I guess you would say, of different characters. We get some really good looks at those. Some Vision Quest news about Speed, and there's some fan art going around, so we'll take a look at that. And we're going to talk about Black Panther being made white in Marvel Comics, which I thought was a joke, and I had to do a little digging on it, so we'll talk about that. And is The Last of Us Season 2 woke? I don't know. We'll talk about that in the stream. That's the first hour. The second hour, we're going to be counting down 2 top 5 lists. One of them is our favorite non-Marvel or DC superhero / comic book movies. The other is our top 5 favorite 90s movies. And I'm excited. My list is great. I think I will have, we're going to get the chat to chime in on this. We're going to tell them which list they like. So the chat will have to keep track of everybody's list, and we will do a poll to figure out which list they like the most at the end. So we'll see how that goes. But what's up, everybody in the chat? I think Darren says he is going to be here, but he's not going to be here right away. He's going to be here a little bit later. I don't know if he's on somebody else's stream, but he said he's going to be running about 20 minutes behind. As always, this month's fund is going for my kitty cat. So if you would like to help my kitty cat get surgery, for either channel, all super chat donations will be going to that for this month. And she really does appreciate it. She's been very nice today because she knew that I was streaming, and she wanted to make sure that I was asking for assistance for her. So she didn't do anything wrong.
No strangers at your door tonight, right?
I don't think so. So let me set up a goal over here on the other one in the Debunks channel.
Oh, Darren just got done, so I guess he should be here shortly.
Kitty cat surgery. And there is a super chat goal going on. By the way, if you're watching on the Debunks channel, I am keeping track of the leaderboard. Right now in the chat, Parth's Parody is leading, with Eric Crash coming in second, the Maestro coming in third. So if you guys want to get onto that leaderboard, make sure you're active in the chat. And super chats do count, apparently. If you super chat, you go up in the leaderboard.
Nice.
I don't know how they do that yet. It's not in the in my Reloaded channel yet. So I'm not sure what you have to do to get that to work, but
I don't know why they would make that distinction.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's connected to the same account, so I don't really understand why that is. Anyway.
Yes, it's as good as mine.
Yeah. All right, so with that being said, let's take a look first. I want to do this first because I think it's interesting. Let me find his account here. Where is it? Actually, we have the runtime for the next three biggest movies coming out.
Have those been set?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. These are it. James Gunn confirmed on social media that this runtime is accurate.
Yeah, because there was that one that got quote unquote reported a little while back, which I took to mean someone just made up a runtime and went with it, and Gunn confirmed that it wasn't.
Right.
It was like 2 hours, 2 minutes, I think is what they said. It's like, I don't think anyone actually said that. I think you just made up a number and went with it.
So we have these. By the way, are we all? I know 3W said you're not seeing Jurassic World, right?
No.
Wait, Jake, are you seeing all three of these? I'm seeing all three of these.
So yes, the Superman and Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, maybe. I don't know. I'm still undecided. I mean, I like the director. They got David Koepp doing the screenplay. Think he's a great writer, but Dominion just left such a bad taste in my mouth. I still don't 100% know yet.
Okay. Well, these are the biggest possible moneymakers, I guess, coming up next.
Oh yeah, it's going to be
after Lilo and Stitch.
It's going to be a competitive summer.
Yeah. Chat, how many people are going to see all three of these? And if you're not, which ones are you going to see? I'm very curious where everybody fits into this category of
and
like.
Before anybody says this, by the way, just because I feel like someone is going to look at these runtimes and make this comment and go, "Oh man, like 2 hours, 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 14 minutes. Isn't that a little short?" It's like, no, that's not a short film at all.
No.
Like movie runtimes have just been really bloated over the last number of years to where they think anything lower than 2.5 hours is short.
Most studios, and I know Jake, you know this, and 3W might know this, but movies that are under 2.5 hours are ideal because they can get more showings in per day.
Yeah, because if you have like a 3-hour movie, that's that many less.
Every third showing takes a full showing away from another runtime. You know what I mean? Like, so say for example, you have a 3-hour movie. In a day where you would show that movie 4 times, you could technically show it 6 times if it were 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And ergo more money.
Right. So that's why this is kind of a sweet spot. The 2-hour mark is like, this is why a lot of people got mad at Warner Brothers for mandating their movies be at a certain length because of this. But then you have stuff like Infinity War and Endgame, which by the way, those movies are exceptions to the rules because they don't typically make that much money off of movies that long.
Right.
But the difference is the theaters were pretty much all that movie. Like like I'd have to go back and look, but I do remember at my theaters when those movies came out, it was like in a 10 docket theater, like a 10 theater Cineplex, 8 of those theaters were that movie. The other 2 were just random films.
Right.
So
then you have ones like the Batman, for example, which is a 3-hour movie. Don't really think that one needs to be. And when you look at the theaters that were showing that one, it wasn't as packed as those big event movies were.
Right.
And even then, the theaters that went to see it weren't nearly as full.
We could go down a rabbit hole of my thoughts on the 3rd act or 4th act, 5th act of the Batman, because that's another story. Like I had an issue with the way that movie ended, but anyway, needless to say.
Like you and I probably have similar thoughts based on the way you're talking.
Yeah. There's an issue. Look, I don't have issues with really anything else in that movie. I think it's a fine Batman movie, but there's an issue with the pacing and the way the movie wrapped up, in my opinion.
Yeah. The stuff that happens like right before the epilogue, I really like.
Yeah.
That stuff fits in a 3rd act. You know, like. Yeah. The whole sequence in
that
the
movie
water.
had 5 acts. I feel like that was a 5-act movie, honestly.
Like that whole sequence in the water is probably my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
But there's like 30 minutes before that didn't need to happen.
Right. And then afterwards, there was also some stuff they probably could have cut too. But that's my opinion.
Anyway.
All right. So we got these 3 movies. The runtime, as you were saying, Jake, is 2 hours and 14 minutes on Jurassic World, 2 hours and 9 minutes on Superman, and 2 hours and 10 minutes on Fantastic Four. Now, we're talking about runtimes that are so close together. These movies are basically the same runtime.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so close because between credits and mid-credit scenes and end-credit scenes, it's all going to come out to the same amount of time. I believe Superman is going to have some end-credit scenes, and I think Fantastic Four obviously is going to have them. Yeah. So it'll end up being like 2 hours and 14 minutes, most likely.
Yeah, Jurassic Park likely won't, so that's really a non-factor there.
Yeah. So we do have a super chat here, kicking it off, I believe, for the Reloaded channel. So we are 1 out of 10. $5 super chat from Cameron saying, Eric, have you seen the MA 2019 movie with Octavia Spencer? Oh, Ma, yeah.
Not MA, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. Octavia Spencer is getting a sequel. Yeah, I did see that. I don't know if it needed one, but I mean, it's fine. I thought the first one was a good movie for what it was. But, it's one of those movies where I didn't think a sequel was necessary, to be honest. But I think Octavia Spencer's incredible. So, thank you for the super chat.
That guy's made multiple. The guy who made that, I think he's made multiple movies with Octavia Spencer because isn't that the same guy who did The Help?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is the same person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like the James Gunn thing. You just have this certain people you're used to working with, and that's who you end up going to.
And that's not honestly, that's a good segue to a point. Like, that's not a thing exclusive to Gunn. People are bitching at him for that. But it's like, oh, why is he always using his friends? It's like, directors do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, Nolan does it, Raimi does it, Gunn does it. I mean, hell, Gunn and Snyder themselves are friends. Gunn wrote one of Snyder's movies. Like, his directorial debut, that Dawn of the Dead remake, Gunn wrote that. So, these aren't just random connections. These people go way back.
All right, so I tried to find a pronunciation of this actor's name, and I can't. So if somebody in the chat or anybody on the panel knows how to say his name, please feel free to let me know. So we found out that Speed is going to be in Vision Quest. And the actor's name is...
Hold on, let me...
I couldn't find a pronunciation of this, and I don't want to say it incorrectly. I know Malika is the last name. I can't say the first name. Ruarida? I don't... Riha?
So according to this, it's just Rory. Like, the D is silent.
So you don't say the D at all?
So, no, it's just Rory.
Okay. All right.
Rory Malika.
So this is a DeviantArt. We're not going to click on this because DeviantArt has I don't know what's going to be on the page, so we're not going to do that. But if you would like to, go over to MCU Film News and you can see this person's other work. But here is a mock-up of this character, Speed, Wiccan's brother, in Vision Quest. And I'm wondering if we're going to finally get a proper speedster in the MCU now with this character being introduced. Because Quicksilver was killed off very quickly.
You didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Which I still hate this day, but they said they had to pick a character to get rid of, and that was the one they chose to get rid of.
Yeah, you remember when...
They made a quick decision.
You remember when all the rumors were flying around, people thinking it was going to be Hawkeye?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Philip, I'm not going to even read that because that would get us demonetized immediately and blocked in like 25 countries. But yeah, so we're going to get a character who actually has speed as their main power. Like, we have a lot of fast characters, but we don't have actual like speedsters in the MCU. In my opinion.
We have one.
There are a couple.
Unless she didn't die.
Obviously, Quicksilver's dead, and I can't remember the one speedster from Eternals.
Well, Makari. But
right.
We're not even sure what's going to happen with those characters. They haven't interacted with anybody. I don't even know if they're still going to be a part of the MCU at the end of the day.
Maybe not.
I know that they've said they were going to bring them back, but at this point, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a character introduced in Vision Quest will continue on after Secret Wars. I don't know who's going to come back after from like the previous MCU. We also had the Wizard in Jessica Jones, I think.
Yeah.
Which I hated the way they showed that the character's powers in that show.
Yeah.
Not
hey, you know what? Now that they're bringing Fantastic Four back, maybe you could. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? There's a word for it. Revamp that character and bring a new version of him in.
Yeah.
Because he is connected to Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I would love it. So in a perfect world, with the Eternals, if they're ever going to use them again, I still don't believe they keep saying they're planning on it, but I still don't know if we're ever going to see them again.
There's concepts of a plan, I bet.
I think so. Maybe. I think Makari's scene in the end of Eternals is the best use of a speedster in movies ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have a really sinking suspicion that we will never see Makari again. That's just, I hate that, but I just don't think we're going to see it. I think if we're going to see a speedster in the MCU moving forward, it's going to be this character.
This character or...
a new Quicksilver, one or the other.
Yeah, like whenever they get a little more mutant focused.
Yeah. I also don't think the suit will look like this. I think the suit's going to be like over-designed. Most Marvel suits are a little bit over-designed, in my opinion.
The early ones, yeah.
Is there another speedster that's a mutant?
No, that's all of them.
Just Quicksilver?
that's a mutant.
Quicksilver, Makari, and the Wizard. But that's it. Those are the only ones.
Only one of them is a mutant, though.
They need to
Right.
make more.
Well, that's the thing is, so if you think about it, I've always said that there's two characters in comic books that weren't properly translated from one comic book company to the next.
Yeah.
I think the Flash as a character doesn't 100% have like a Marvel counterpart.
No.
The whole concept of the Flash is not really done in Marvel.
No.
And
they really play safe. His Quicksilver is just fast. It's not as though he breaks any sort of new ground. Doesn't have a science background.
Right.
He cannot. There's a myriad of things that the Flash can do that he's shown no evidence of being able to do.
Yeah.
And he seems like just.
I mean, Quicksilver's been upgraded for like a story, but never something that he kept long term.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I was gonna say honestly, another X-Men that kind of has that same treatment too as somebody like Angel. It's like. He's only able to fly. I like Warren, but it's like he's only able
he was much better after Apocalypse changed him
as Archangel.
Yeah,
I agree.
I also think from Marvel, DC has tried, and there is one character somewhat similar to him, but Spider-Man has never been replicated in DC. They've tried, never been replicated.
They have tried.
The closest thing is Blue Beetle,
Blue
the
Beetle.
IME Blue Beetle, but that's about it.
No, not really. I can't really think of any.
Yeah, I can't think of any either. So for me, I feel like the Flash. Darren has arrived. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I feel like the Flash for DC and Spider-Man for Marvel are two characters that neither of the opposite companies have ever been able to fully replicate in their comic book brands.
Right. Replicate or make their own distinct version of.
Because if you think about it, if you were to say this person versus that person, you could probably come up with like some pretty close. Like we did it a little bit the other day when we did the versus thing with the MCU.
Yeah.
You can kind of come up with some close stuff, but the Flash up against a Marvel, like Quicksilver would get mopped by the Flash. Like there's just no way, right?
Right.
And if you put Spider-Man up against their biggest street level character, he would win all day long. There's no real counterpart for Spider-Man. Everybody else has sort of a counterpart.
Apparently, Google says Static from DC is the best parallel to Spider-Man.
I still don't see that. I still don't see it. Like
probably the closest to Spider-Man in terms of just style and like characterization is probably Invincible in terms of just like the 16-year-old high school student, hero by day, student by
I was
night.
thinking that, and Invincible had their own version of Spider-Man. I can't remember.
It was called
true.
Spider. It was something Spider, right?
It was like Night Spider. Or Spider.
There's an edit of that we showed a while back where somebody actually put Spider-Man in place of that character, and it worked.
Yeah.
But I actually prefer that it wasn't. Only because I like that Invincible has their own little versions of everything, and that's better to me than like just a straight up, crossover or whatever. Agent Spider, that's what it was.
I would love if Spider-Verse 3 gave him a little Easter egg, just like throw him in like a tiny shot somewhere swinging around.
Hey, what's up, Amethyst? Good to see you.
The only one that I think is similar to Spider-Man in like the way in their mannerisms is a character that came out before Spider-Man, and that's Nightwing.
That's true. That's true.
That's the one that is probably the closest because they act a lot of the same way. They both have deceased parents. They both went through that hard learning lesson, and they fight crime the same way. They're both loudmouths, but there hasn't been one since Spider-Man that you could say there was influence from. Again, Jaime would probably be the closest thing.
Here's the reasoning for Static that they said. Like Peter Parker's Spider-Man, Static was put on upon a geek with a bit of smart mouth throughout his heroic adventures. Static frequently bantered and flustered his villains. Many of the Virgil Hawking enemies represented related obstacles such as bullies, gang members, and those seeking to stir up racial grievances in the city of Detroit.
I see that, but I feel like you could just insert any teen character into that. Like there's no, I don't think there's any, like when I'm saying Spider-Man, I'm talking about like When I say Flash, we're talking about powers and personality, not just someone that's like Spider-Man. That's why I said Blue Beetle is probably, in my opinion, their attempt at Spider-Man, because they tried to change Blue Beetle to make it more of like a extremely powerful character who had some sort of like insect connection, like Spider-Man does. Like Static isn't power-wise is nothing like Spider-Man.
And doesn't have that same sort of science background either.
Right.
The only other media I've seen someone use spider powers is Ben 10. You could kind of argue had a spider alien.
There is a spider character from Young Justice that was like
Black Spider.
Black Spider. That one, yeah.
It was also a Spider-Man like parody kind of thing, right?
But not. I mean, hardly anyone knows that character though. So,
he was more of like. Again, he's more of like a Bat Family vigilante-esque type of character with just Spider in the name.
Wasn't that also Josh Keaton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Fun fact, before Keaton got to voice Spider-Man officially, because he was going to voice him for the movie game that came out for the first Tobey Maguire film, but because they were able to get Tobey Maguire on, so Josh Keaton was essentially their backup in case they couldn't. But Keaton went on to voice the playable Harry Osborn Green Goblin in that game before he would eventually voice Spider-Man later. Fun fact for you.
Let's see. So, Cameron here with the challenge super chat. DC Sideways often gets compared to Spider-Man visually. Yes, they visually look the same in some regards, but again, I'm talking about more than just that. Like, I'm talking about like personality, powers, all of the above. There's really not an allegory for Spider-Man in DC that's well known.
Yeah.
Like,
wouldn't that like fall under copyright? Because
No.
that's too similar.
No, because then like Sentry is basically Superman, but there's a slight differences in Sentry that make him not Superman.
They don't own powers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can.
So if they made a character that stuck to walls and shot out some sort of like chemical that became like a webbing or something, as long as it didn't copy the character 100%, they could get away with it. So, but thank you for the super chat, Cameron. All right, let's talk about this because this is exciting. Fantastic Four crashed out today, but not in the way that people expected. Ticket sales were crashing systems. Fandango was having issues with this, and now it's been stated the Fantastic Four has sold more tickets on Fandango during its first day than any other movie this year.
I'm guessing $1 billion right here.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And this isn't, like being marketed as one of those, event movies like your No Way Home or a Deadpool and Wolverine, where the sites have crashed historically. This isn't being marketed that way, and it's still, leading to things like this. So that gives me hope for it.
Yeah. This is like a lot of people so there's a lot of drama around this right now. I've covered it in several videos. The anti-Marvel channels or whatever have been trying to sort of like make this film seem like it's going to be bad based on a lot of the speculation that we talked about on the other stream. And they're going really hard on it. We got a really good shot of Shala Bal that we're going to look at here in a second, where you can see the changes to the rendering and the Silver Surfer design that they've made since the first trailer, or the last trailer we saw. But this tells me, based on these ticket sales, that no one gives a fuck what they have to say. That's what it's telling me. Because if it's doing this well, that means they are inside a very tiny bubble and it's not reaching outside to the general public. And if the movie is good, if they're selling this many tickets in advance and the movie ends up actually being as good as we expect it's going to be, it will probably have a very strong second weekend as well, which will look really good for them. Thoughts on this?
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I wasn't expecting, having tickets crash. Like, that's not something that was on my bingo card for Fantastic Four, especially after Captain America 4, what happened this year, after Thunderbolts seemingly probably going to lose money. I was pretty concerned about like box office wise for this movie because I haven't been too confident with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is a great sign. It's very positive. I'm happy for them. I hope, obviously, like we're gonna watch it regardless. Like people like us
Yes.
are gonna go see this movie regardless. And I'm curious how many of those people pre-ordering it are people like us, or are they like, dad who wants to show their 8-year-old son Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
the aunt who's taking their their niece or something, like how much of the casual audience is this, or are this people like us who are like,
I do want to comment on this. The quality of the film has not been a factor in a lot of these recent movies, Zaya. Thunderbolts has been objectively loved by both critics and fans in almost every regard.
Yeah.
There's been very little complaints about that movie, and the complaints have been very pedantic and nitpicky about that film.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said that it was their favorite Marvel movie in a long time, and some people would even argue that outside of the event movies, it's a top 5 Marvel movie. The Thunderbolts is that good. And I would argue there are parts of it that are that good, in my opinion, as well. So I don't think the quality is going to affect pre-sales because we haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah. Because on
And
the
then
opposite side of the spectrum, you have things like Minecraft.
I was about to say that.
It's making a boatload of money, and people are tearing the movie apart.
People are living on vibes right now. Vibes are 100% what people are deciding on what they're going to do. If a movie is silly and stupid and not great, as long as the vibe is right, it's going to make money. And
if
that's
they
why
don't have
Minecraft.
to think too hard, then they'll go into it.
This is also a very easily branded movie. Look at the colors, look at the numbers, look at the style of this movie. It is easily branded. Thunderbolts, unfortunately, outside of the comic book fandom, wasn't a movie that had a unifying thing that they could sort of brand it around. So they tried to do that. They tried, and it just didn't work with all this stuff.
It was the same risk that you took with something like the Guardians. Only difference is these characters that people knew to an extent, but that name Thunderbolts did not have that brand recognizability.
But Zaya, just quickly, I want to address this because we talked about it. Like they mentioned below, the top 2 grossing movies this year, one of them is objectively garbage, which is Minecraft. Like literally, most people say it's not good. That's the number 1 movie of the year. And Lilo and Stitch, which even though the movie is okay, it's definitely not as good as the animated one. And that movie is the second highest grossing movie, about to be the number 1 movie of the year. We have to stop pretending that these movies not doing well have anything to do with the quality of them. It's just not, that is just not true, Zaya. It's just not.
It can help. It helps if you come out and be like, hey, this is a great movie, but it's not always the final indication if people are going to go watch your movie or not.
Right.
Like with Thunderbolts, because that movie had really good word of mouth from the people who saw it, but then not enough people went and saw it.
Yeah, It would have done way worse if people came out and said this was garbage.
Yeah.
This was like awful.
The whole reason it made as much money as it did is because people were saying it was good. The people Marvel might look back and go, maybe rebranding it the week after it came out wasn't the best thing to do. You know what I mean? Like maybe naming it New Avengers. Maybe it should have been New Avengers from the beginning. You know what I mean? Maybe that should have been the way they started out with it. I did see a post here. Let me see if I can pull this up over here. I saw a post here from one of the normal Marvel DC community pages. Which, by the way, if you ever want to see shit, go to one of those community thingies on Twitter. It's it's awful, right?
Terrified.
But it says here, the Thunderbolts we wanted versus the Thunderbolts we got. Look, I want to be straight up with you. This character alone beats everything in this top picture in terms of the way they were handled. Baron Zemo was an awful MCU character. He was so mishandled and could have been great, was not. Deadpool would have made no sense in this lineup. We got Ghost, we got Yelena, we got Taskmaster, we got John. So you want to swap out Abomination over Sentry? The one that everybody said they hated from She-Hulk? That's the one that they wanted? This is a dumb take. It's just dumb. Look, I would love to have had a more comic accurate Thunderbolts, like the one that we got with Baron Zemo leading it, where a lot of characters were like Moonbeam and people like that, Screaming Mimi, like that group.
We had people from the MCU that we could do that with. We had Bullseye, they could have pulled him in from the Netflix shows. He would have been a prime candidate. And I'm convinced, by the way, and I have yet to see something that tells me otherwise, that character that they kept referring to as Mel in the Thunderbolts, I am dead sure that was an homage to Melissa Gold, aka Songbird, who has led that team before.
Yeah. I mean, we could have gone with something like that. I think that would have been good. But the problem is, people that are saying they wanted this over the quality that we got with this movie, at this point, you didn't watch the film then.
Yeah.
You didn't watch the movie. There's no way you would want Abomination after She-Hulk, and Baron Zemo where he left off from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's no way you would want these characters over what we got here. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Baron would make no sense here. Like,
no.
Like, you end the movie with them becoming Avengers, so you're going to put the person on, like, the person who broke the Avengers on that team. Maybe that's interesting, but like,
let's be honest, if Deadpool were on this team, he would have overshadowed the entire team.
Well, it wouldn't have worked. Also, the vibe shift would have been off of that.
No,
right.
Maestro, I didn't hate Abomination. I actually enjoyed She-Hulk for the most part. I thought it was a good character. However, we all know that the people saying this didn't like She-Hulk.
Yeah.
We already know that. So pretending like they wanted Abomination on the team over what we actually got is being intellectually dishonest.
Or they didn't actually watch She-Hulk. And
exactly. Or Thunderbolts. Yeah. They didn't watch either one.
They're just jumping on a hay wagon to sound cool.
People don't want the actual character of Abomination. What they want is a giant Hulk creature, like, flying around, smashing things. They don't actually care about this character.
I don't even think they care about that, Darren. They rejected Red Hulk, and that's essentially what Red Hulk was.
They got that in Captain America, and that still wasn't enough for them.
Right. So I don't even know if that. I don't even know if they want that.
Now,
I think they like the idea of it, but they don't like to actually get it. It's like when you order something you're super hungry for, and you get it, and then you're like, "Oh shit, I can't eat all of this."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
But
I will say that was probably negatively received because they put Red Hulk in the marketing of that movie so much, and he was only in it for like 10 minutes. If they wouldn't have marketed it so much, it made it seem like, okay, you know, like he's going to be a big player in this movie, which, you know, people like us watching the trailers, we can look at that footage and go, okay, all of his scenes are kind of in one contained area. They're in that. He
was also a last minute change. That was a character that was changed and added in, which is exactly why, ding, 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 the budget got so inflated on that movie because they had to do all of that, reshoot the third act because people didn't like the Serpent Society, and put Red Hulk in it, which is what everybody wanted, and then rejected it anyway.
Yeah, but they still had John Carter.
Which one?
In a year after
the top photo there. I want to see who's that mustache.
That's Ross, I think.
Oh, is it?
It's cut off right there. That's where it cuts off.
Oh, okay.
I think that's William Hurt.
Okay.
I think it is. Who is that on the other side?
Yelena, I think. Oh, no, that's Valentina, probably, right?
Okay. All right, got it. Let me see. Hold on. Let me switch over here. This is a bigger shot of it.
Okay. I mean, this is an interesting screenshot because it's not even that crazy. Like, you kept 4 out of the 6 members of the team we have already.
But I will take this character right here over anybody else in this lineup. Louis Pullman killed this role.
He killed it, yeah.
And Sentry was so good that if Sentry wouldn't have been in this movie, it probably wouldn't have been even nearly as good as it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'll take Bucky over Deadpool. I don't know if that's a hot take.
I just think Bucky fits better with this group. It makes more sense. Deadpool doesn't make sense in this group.
No.
Like, to be fair, what the fuck is Baron Zemo going to do in that lineup? What is he? The MCU version doesn't have nearly as much going for him as the one in the comics. So let's move on to this over here. So this is a newly rendered shot of Silver Surfer. This looks incredible to me. This looks incredible. This is much better than the shot we got in the trailer. This is a high quality shot of the actual. I don't even know if this is the finished version, but this is great. This looks great to me.
It's also pretty funny that the blue check marks are basically saying the same shit. Like, since when did they cast a female Silver Surfer? I'm like, shut up.
They're doing it for like, okay, so let me explain something for everybody about Twitter. If someone has a blue check mark and they say something stupid or out of pocket, they're doing it so people will engage with it so they'll get paid for it.
Yep.
That's the whole reason.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't respond to that stuff anymore on Twitter. Because of that. You know.
Yeah.
People on Twitter are incentivized to be assholes. That's pretty much what it is.
We're paying for it, yeah.
Right. So, and there's people that I know that I interact with that do that, and I'm always like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna do? I can't stop them from doing it.
Yeah.
All right, we have a super chat from Screwface Capone, $2 super chat. Zemo could have busted some scene dance moves. Look, that was one of my favorite parts of that show, but it also goes to show why he probably shouldn't have been a part of the Thunderbolts movie, in my opinion.
I like how like fans just rioted, like they cutted his scene, and I'm like, and everyone was like, bring it back. So they bring it back, and that was like the best part of the episode.
That being said, I would have liked him for Captain 4.
Yes.
I think he actually would have been a great villain, especially if you would have really focused in on the narrative of trying to rebuild the Avengers. That's kind of a fun dynamic to have, like Sam trying to process if he should rebuild the Avengers by facing off against someone who
I actually
and on the opposite side of that, he's having to work with the person that like helped break up the Avengers and threw him in jail. So
there's a fun thing there. Yeah.
Let me say this. I believe, and I've said this before to Darren, I don't know if 3Dub or Jake has been here when I talked about this, but I actually think without some of the extra stuff added in to pad the runtime, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have been Captain America 4.
Should have been.
Like a buddy cop road trip movie with Bucky and Sam learning how to become Captain America. You throw in US Agent, you have a massively successful movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
On your
I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here with that. The two reasons why that should have been that movie. One, they really forced in the third act of Captain America that he had to deal with that whole Red Hulk threat alone. But the whole point of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show was that Sam didn't have to be Captain America alone. And even Steve, who had the serum, he worked alone, but he always worked with other people when he could. And if that would have been your fourth movie where they went through the whole journey of that show, it would have been better for, I think, both those characters. But two, it wouldn't have retread the ground, because if you look at the whole, or for at least a good chunk of the fourth Captain America movie, there's a good amount of it that's about Sam not feeling worthy of the shield and not feeling worthy of the mantle, which was his whole arc in the show of not feeling worthy of that. So the show already completed that arc, and then they retreaded it for a chunk of the movie.
Only because they didn't have faith that people watch the show. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All that was frustrating.
And it should have been, I stand by this, that should have been the first MCU movie of Phase 4. That would have been such a good reintroduction. And I think there's just such a long wait in between Endgame and Captain America 4 that by the time you get there, people don't give a shit anymore.
6 years.
People didn't give a shit. And that's unfortunate. Like, if you would have had that come out, we have to pretend it's not COVID. Like let's just pretend that's not a thing. That comes out 2018. Sorry, 2019 was when Avengers Endgame was, right? You have Spider-Man that later that year, and then the first movie in 2020 is Captain America. I think I don't know if it's $1 billion, but I think it's like 800 million. It's up there, I think.
Well, even if you put it in Black Widow's slot, which is May of 2021, that would have still worked just as well.
Black Widow should have just not have been a thing. I'm sorry. Like, I at least not the way they did it. I feel like they should have.
I actually think they should have done it without Natasha. Like, it should have just been like a Yelena
or just release that movie like during the time that it takes place in.
You know what you do?
I actually feel like it. Speaking of the Black Widow, I think Yelena should be going after Bucky in that movie, and have that like altercation to where they finally have a.
Oh, there was a lot of things they could have done with Black Widow that they just didn't do. So.
Yeah. You should have made it like a Hawkeye movie. Like, introduce Yelena in and Red Guardian in like a Hawkeye movie instead.
Right.
I feel like
they
that
could have easily appeared there.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go back and retroactively look at some of the Marvel stuff that didn't work, right? I think shows like WandaVision and Loki had to be shows the way they were designed. But things like The Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that jumps out at me. That one in particular, though, could have been a movie, 100%.
Yeah.
And I actually think these were mistakes that, like, I think they were massively almost franchise killing mistakes that they made with some of their decisions with their TV properties. Because think about this. You end Infinity War and Endgame, and your very first movie after that, or close to the first movie after that, is Bucky and Sam on a road trip together while they watch John Walker become Captain America. And then you take out all the Flag Smasher stuff, just get rid of that completely, right? You just have them dealing with some sort of threat that brings them up against John Walker, and then they have to fight against that to get to where they are. You could even have the whole thing with John Walker, like using the shield to murder somebody and all of those things. You can still put that in there, but it doesn't have to be Flag Smashers. It could be some random criminal that was doing something and he was caught on camera doing it. Like, you could easily do that.
Hell, do all your Serpent Society stuff there if you want to. And that could have easily been a good bridging off point, going into Phase 4, because in current day Avengers Endgame, the last people that you see in current day, aside from Steve, are Bucky and Sam. Mm-hmm. So it would have been just a great, thread to connect those things. I mean, granted, Spider-Man would have still come out in the middle, but yeah.
I still love that show, but I feel like that was a mistake to not make it a movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem they're going to be dealing with forever. They're doing the Great Reset soon, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But
I still want to see more of Sam as Cap, though.
I think the last time we're going to see him in a major film is going to be the two Avengers movies. That's what I think. I don't have faith in what's going on behind the scenes, because I think they're going to pare down to movies that they are 100% confident it can make money. And Brave New World, regardless of, we know there was a lot of other reasons why that movie didn't do well, but the studio is going to go, they don't want to see a black Captain America, so we're not going to make any more black Captain America movies.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I mentioned this on here previously. I really, really think Captain America 5, right, would do a lot better after Avengers 5 and 6. I think a lot of people are going to go see those Avengers movies. They are. He's the lead of those movies, right? Those are practically going to be Captain America 5 and 6, in terms of, the same way Iron Man was your sequels and Avengers, right? And I think, like, after those movies, people are going to be so much more willing to be like, oh, hey, I really liked that guy in, Avengers 5 and Avengers 6. And I think, I hope Disney can see that and they can be like, okay, let's give him one more shot.
Because that was kind of the case for, people going into Infinity War and after that movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked Doctor Strange more after those Avengers movies more than they did his own movie.
Doctor Strange is one of my favorite characters in the MCU.
Same here. I love those two
I
movies.
love that character.
I'm in the unpopular opinion that Multiverse of Madness is a top 10 MCU movie.
That's not unpopular with me. It's probably in my top 5, most likely. If I'm really thinking about it. I love that movie. I know it's got problems. There's some messiness in the middle of it, but I never, ever, when I pick my favorite movies, I pick them based on how much I love them as a movie. I don't pick them based on the nitpicky stuff that bothers most people. Like, Paigey will die on the hill that the Illuminati stuff should have never been in that movie, that it should have just been completely taken out. I personally don't have an issue with it. Yes, I understand why people would have an issue with it. I personally don't have an issue with it.
Well, a lot of the issues they're really stupid and groundless because people were going into it expecting Cameo Fest when the movie never promised.
No, it never did. Never.
It teased a little bit, and you got a little bit.
One of my single favorite parts of that movie, and we're going to sing the praises of it for a second because I just feel like it needs to be done, is when you have Doctor Strange versus Doctor Strange in the musical notes world or whatever.
I love that.
What a unique and different thing that I never could have imagined that would happen, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Look, putting himself in a zombie version of himself to face off against the Scarlet Witch was incredible. Like, that movie is so good. I love the first Doctor Strange, and I love what they did with that. But in my opinion, and this is an extremely hot take maybe, I prefer Multiverse of Madness over the first Doctor Strange.
Not with me. Dude, when I heard that they were taking Scott Derrickson off of Doctor Strange 1, I was a little worried. When I heard Sam Raimi was coming on to do Doctor Strange 2, Darren knows this. It's my favorite filmmaker. I was ecstatic to see what they would do, and
it's got the Sam Raimi isms in the movie.
Yeah,
like it's in there.
It takes everything out of his bag of tricks from Evil Dead 2.
When we were sitting in the theater watching it, and I saw the scene where they're running through in the
that little hall,
the hallway, and Wanda's like moving through the walls and stuff like that. That is totally Sam Raimi right there, 100%.
I went there, watched it with my old man. As that scene is playing out, he leans over and does that thing from Evil Dead 2 where they're like, "I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul," and we kept just doing that together as a joke. And I'll say this too: so many people got mad / confused over the whole Bruce Campbell sequence.
Oh yeah, the whole like
back to that.
I was
Yeah.
also confused.
If you don't know the works of Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, you'll look at that scene and go, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah.
Oh, like there's a lot to it. And when that was the ending of the post credit scenes, everybody below us was pissed off. We were laughing our tails off.
I also like another thing is when you look at like the power scaling of the MCU, right? You look at all the characters we have. Obviously, by the time Wanda gets the Multiverse of Madness, I would say there's almost no one that could beat her in the MCU. Like, I would say if you were to put all of the characters we've met in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in front of me, and you're like, pick one Marvel hero that could beat that character by themselves, Wanda would be my pick, like every single time, as Scarlet Witch. I think she's just that powerful. And then you come down from that, and I'm like, you look at some of the characters we have, Doctor Strange is in that top list.
Yeah.
Like, easily in that top list. It just... I would say Wong is up there, too.
That's one of the things I loved about Doctor Strange, too, is like, up until that movie, they'd been shying away from how powerful and dangerous Wanda can be, and that movie finally showed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is going into that movie, you finally get to see, and look, there's a lot of complaints from people who, like the Wanda stans on social media, who don't like that they sort of retreaded her journey through WandaVision in Multiverse of Madness, and I understand that. But if you look at Wanda through comics, and Wanda fans don't come at me in the comments here, but they might. She has been up and down throughout her entire career and life in comic books. She's gone from like hero to anti-hero to hero to mother to wife to like she's had so many different roles in the comics over the years. But the thing is, the one consistent thing about her is she is unpredictable.
Yeah.
And they sort of took that concept of chaos magic from her origins and just applied it to her as a character. So now it's not chaos magic necessarily, it's that she is unpredictable. She is chaotic as a character. And that's what I love about her. And that's why I enjoyed her in Multiverse of Madness.
I think the mistake was justifying her actions in WandaVision. I think that messed up a lot of people because like you end the show with like Monica being like, "You mean you'll never know how much that you sacrificed."
You mean at the very end with the whole thing with Agatha and everything?
Yeah, they like treat her as a hero at the end of that, and I think they should have been at least teased something more ominous for her, because you do kind of end it with her. Yes, she's looking for her child like through the Darkhold, but they do treat her as a hero still, as the good guy. I think it's just that like transition period is a little wobbly, but it makes sense in her character why she does what she does.
Go ahead, Jake. I've got something to say about that.
Because they didn't see her through all of that. Like, they have only been beside her through most of the good bits, so that's the only reference point that they have until everything goes to shit.
I love the okay, so allow me to sort of jump on the other side of this, right? I think with WandaVision, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make an emotional appeal to you. Like, what would you do if you were in Wanda's position? How far would you go if you were in Wanda's position? And that's the question they beg you throughout that whole show, as you see her sort of become more and more unhinged. And then you see her sort of realize that she's made the mistake. You see that Agatha has been manipulating things all along. And so you're supposed to not necessarily 100% go, this is my take on it. You're not supposed to 100% go, I agree with her or I disagree with her. You're supposed to just emotionally appeal to or be emotionally connected to the decision she made and how far she would go. And also at the end of that, she runs away and hides because I don't think she feels good about what she did. Even though the public might not have held her accountable, I think deep down inside she knew what she did was wrong.
Sure.
Yeah, and that whole, I'll add on to that too, the whole thing with the Darkhold, multiple times in fiction and things like that, dark magic has been used as a metaphor for addiction, and she is somebody who was she's just in this myopic tunnel vision mindset of wanting to be with her kids, and she sees like this way that can do it, and she doesn't really care about the consequences.
Yes.
And whenever you're in that addictive mindset, you don't really care about a lot of what's going on around you. You're just focused on this one thing that you want.
There's also a callback though, right? With that show, you guys understand the callback part of it, right? To Wanda as a character.
Which part?
Okay, so one of the callbacks to WandaVision is, remember how her issue when we first meet her is that she was a product of how would I put this? Like, she was mad at Tony Stark because of what Tony represented, right?
Yeah.
And she was an innocent person involved with everything Tony did. And Tony tried to appeal to her saying that, this isn't who I am. I've grown since then. I'm a bigger person. I'm different and all these things like that. So in her show, she ends up being Tony Stark. Like, there's a lot of innocent people affected by what she's doing, even though that wasn't her intention. So she sort of takes that role that Tony had where she did bad things, even if she didn't think they were bad things. And so she's like, that's a callback to her being on the other side of it. So she's no longer the innocent bystander that's mad at Tony for all of the fallout that happened because of what he did. Now she's the person in Tony's shoes calling that fallout, causing that fallout to all these people. So she's trying to deal with the ramifications of, not only did I become everything that I hate, but I lost everything in the process. So I think that's a callback to like her being on the opposite side of Tony Stark.
Yeah. And it just kind of shows that, like the one thing that she's really wanted to hold on to throughout the entire series is just, wanted a family at the end of the day. And like, she had her brother, then she lost him, then she had Vision, lost him, had her kids, lost them. She just keeps on going through tragedy after tragedy and just wants a safe family at the end of the day, and it keeps being taken from her.
Right. So the thing is, at the end of the day with that show, I don't think it's sort of like, I would say a lot of modern shows do this. Like, you look at the most recent one, Mobland. I don't know if you guys have watched that show. You got Mobland, you got Game of Thrones, you got Rings of Power. You have all of these shows, The Walking Dead. Like, there's so many shows out there that put you in a position to not 100% morally agree with what somebody's doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're looking, even I would say even Last of Us to some degree, right? Yeah. It's like, it makes you sort of go, these characters are more complex than good guy, bad guy. And I think that's a relatively modern way to look at media, I think.
That's how you make characters with lasting appeal, characters that people and the fans
look at Loki.
We'll still have ongoing discussions about for years on end.
Look at what Loki did. Think about this. Everything that Loki did all the way up into the events of the Battle of New York, and then what happened with him in the Loki TV series. And you see how he changed. He became a different person, became a better person, started making better decisions. But still at the core, he's Loki, right? He's still who he was. I think what modern media does is it tries to get you to make a decision based on what you would do if you were in their position, opposing like how you would look at good guys, bad guys, and all of that. You know what I mean?
Look at Bucky.
Yeah,
Bucky is another big one.
Even Flo, I think that's kind of the point with like his character in Thunderbolts or whatever moving forward. But it's also John Walker from the comics. Like, the character in the comics also has a much more complicated history before he becomes, or where he is now in comics, at least where he was like 5 years ago when I was reading the comics. But I think there's always room to appreciate a character because they had a journey that you can look at and go, I understand that. You know what I mean?
And with all those things that they go through and that they do, even if you don't, agree with them, you get why they're doing it.
Right. Yeah, I think there is such a shift in modern media. And there's a lot of commentary about like morality and like if it's even worth having it at this point. Like, I think
exactly. You're no longer picking the better person, you're picking the less shitty person.
Yeah, I think Invincible was a very interesting commentary on that this season, where like both, like, I was siding with Cecil for most of the season on Invincible when he is arguably in the wrong. Yeah. And the thing that we kept saying on my show was like, yes, morally he's not doing good things, but is that okay? Is it okay that he's not doing the same thing if he's the one making those decisions?
Well, like, Darren, you know what's interesting about that discussion is if you're watching Invincible, when you're watching the character of Invincible, that's the individual character that we're supposed to be connecting to, right? Like we're supposed to emotionally understand everything he's dealing with when it comes to his brother, when it comes to his mom, when it comes to his dad. We're supposed to be connecting to that. Cecil represents the greater good. Like everything else that we're supposed to be thinking about, all of the other people in the world that could be affected by this, all the people that could be hurt because these superheroes are going around and fighting each other. So it really does ask the question, do you care more because you connect with the way one individual person feels and their story, or do you care more about everybody else and what the ramifications of that person's actions could do? And I think that's an interesting conversation. We have some super chats here. $5 from Naruto. I think because of that, we got 5 super chats. We are halfway to the goal, and we're not even at the hour mark. You guys are amazing. Eric, thoughts on the finale of Doctor Who and that ending Billy Piper tease? Did I talk about that here, or did I talk about that on the showcast? I can't remember which one I talked about.
We talked about it a little bit, I think, in the last stream.
So I like Shooty. Look, I know, Darren, you really enjoyed this past season of Doctor Who. I like Shooty Gatwa as Doctor Who. I thought he was a very interesting doctor. I preferred his first season versus his second season. Just my personal opinion. But I did enjoy aspects of this season. I spoke about this the other day. This was on the showcast. That I believe Shooty is becoming more and more popular, and it's hard to like tie him down to like film Doctor Who. So I understand that part. I also like Billy Piper. But I will say it kind of sucks they didn't at least get a third season out of his Doctor. I'd love to have seen him get a third season. But I like Billy Piper. So I don't really know. I'm conflicted a little bit. Darren, you love the season. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, here's what I'll say is, like, I really liked, episodes, 2 through 5. I thought 2 through 5 were fantastic. I do think they kind of dropped the ball for me in those last couple episodes. They threw a lot at the wall. A lot of it felt very rushed to me. It didn't necessarily feel like his final episode until those last 20 minutes where they're like, all right, film something, get him in here, blah, blah, blah. I know, like Shooty had said, he was going to be filming Doctor Who in June, like this next season in June. Something clearly happened behind the scenes. I don't know if that was on him wanting to leave or they pushed him out.
I mean, to be fair, with the amount of negativity surrounding the show, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, I just don't want to be a part of this anymore.
And if it was his decision fully, I can be like, okay, fair enough. That's valid. But if there was any sort of like, we're going a different direction kind of thing, then I don't like that personally. Yeah. He was already one of my favorite Doctors. He's fantastic. I don't know how I feel about the Billy Piper thing yet.
Are you not a Billy Piper fan, or?
I mean, I like Rose. Rose is a fantastic character, but also I don't even fully know what it means yet in the context of the show.
Have heard, I don't know if this is true, that was kind of a thrown together thing at the end because they didn't know what they were going to do, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, but like, is she really the 16th Doctor, or is this like a David Tennant thing again, where it's like, just for a little thing? They didn't, like, inside the title, it didn't say introducing the 16th Doctor or like 15th Doctor like they normally would. It just says introducing Billy Piper. So I'm like, okay, is this just Rose in the body of the Doctor?
Or is it the Doctor in Rose's body?
Right. And it's like, okay, what exactly are we... Like, I'm excited to see what the heck they're doing. Like, it's interesting for sure. And I feel like for a show that has gone on as long as Doctor Who, you do sometimes have to do crazy stuff like that to mix up the fandom, because like, as long as I've been part of it and haven't been part of the fandom very long, I haven't seen everything. Obviously, this is the most conversation I've ever seen from Doctor Who. Like, everyone's talking about it again, which is what they were going for, right? They're trying to get something to revive the fandom again, like they did when Tennant came back for those 5 episodes. So
we reached the hour mark, by the way.
Yes, I see. Thank you. But yeah, so I feel like you're right. I've seen more conversation about Doctor Who than I have in years, next to the Jodie Whittaker stuff, which was somewhat controversial. They didn't really go hard on Jodie Whittaker, but I mean, they made it clear they didn't like her as Doctor. But anyway, anybody else watch Doctor Who or no? Jake, you watch it?
I haven't watched since Matt Smith.
Right. 3W, do you watch Doctor Who?
Haven't gotten past the first season.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Cameron trying to get... Yeah,
I
go
can't
ahead.
remember how long ago Matt Smith was, but that's the last one I watched.
It was like a decade ago, or 2 decades ago, actually.
Okay, I'm way behind. Then.
All right, so
That was
Cameron here with a
seven.
$5 super chat goes, I think Doctor Strange 2 should have had a different title than Multiverse of Madness. I've heard this complaint because, yes, there's not a ton of like multiversal places that he goes to, but
I actually think this is a perfect title because the whole premise of Wanda's like wanting to be a mother and the initials are mom.
yes. Well, also, I
let's
think
do
Scott
this too.
Derrickson, well, wasn't Scott Derrickson, when the title was Multiverse of Madness, Scott was still attached to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I think this title just stuck because it was already the working, or the official title that had been trademarked, and so
Well,
they just went with it.
A lot of people's complaints too were that we didn't go to that many universes. I'm gonna offer a counter argument to that. If we would have squeezed, say we would have squeezed like 2 or 3 more universes into that movie, the ones that we went to would have been less developed, and as a result, they all would have lacked development. So I feel like the ones that we got, could they have been developed more? Like, could the movie have been maybe 5-10 minutes longer? Yeah, but
Yeah.
I was still really happy with what we got, and because we go, so we have our main world, we have the Illuminati world, the three-eyed Doctor Strange world, the in-between world where the Book of Ashanti is, and all the ones that you see in that montage.
Right.
Which could you have gone to maybe one of those? Sure, but then if more would have been crammed into there, then you would have had people complain on the opposite side of the spectrum and be like, oh, well, they just threw in a bunch of ones in there and we didn't really spend any time with them. That's what would have happened if more would have been crammed into there, because they would have had less time spent in them.
Fun fact, this is Paige's complaint about the movie. He's like, the one thing he doesn't like is the title, really, and the Illuminati stuff. That's it. So
Even Flo says something like less development, sure, but as it doesn't feel like a madness.
I think it does feel like a madness. I think
Yeah.
Wanda's gone mad, right? Like, I feel like that, like, in that sense, it is a
But not the
madness.
multiverse.
Yeah, but she's going through the multiverse to find her kid, so it's like the multiverse. I don't know. I think the title is
she's
fine.
going mad through the multiverse.
Yeah, and I think the issue was like just the marketing, because I think those trailers made people think, and the posters made it people think, oh, is that Deadpool? It's like, no,
So,
it's not, and that's okay.
I won't even say that's an issue with the marketing. I think people coming after Spider-Man No Way Home, I think people just got their hopes up too high.
Yeah.
Because, they teased a little bit of cameos in those trailers. Like, they showed you, they teased Patrick Stewart's voice. That's all they did.
I wish they didn't do that.
And people went haywire on the internet.
I mean, I'll say to this day, that's my least favorite thing about that movie is Patrick Stewart. I was not happy with what they did with him. And now I think his return now feels even less special. Like, imagine if he hadn't come back after Logan and this was his first appearance, Jake, with those chairs. That would have been insane.
yeah,
That would have been the biggest reveal. And then, like, when he was announced at the chairs, I was like, oh, he's back. Okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't feel special to me.
I can
Patrick
understand
Stewart
that
has
argument. It's just not how I feel about it.
Patrick
enough.
Stewart has been killed as Xavier so many times.
Like 4 times,
comes
right?
back. It still comes back.
3? Okay. Well, it's about to be.
It's about to be 4.
Let's hope not.
So we do have a comment about Doctor Who again here from Naruto, $2 super chat. Could this be a bad wolf situation? And I had to think back about that. I actually went looking quickly. That was the name of that storyline from Christopher Eccleston's Doctor Who.
Season
right?
1, yeah.
Right. And that included Rose.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what you were referring to when you said what you said, Darren, about the whole whether or not she's the doctor or
something like I don't remember the Bad Wolf storyline like super well. I just remember it being a big part of season 1. I know that's a big theory right now that it's surrounded with like the Bad Wolf stuff. Again, it could literally be anything. They could do whatever they want with this, and I am also curious if I do assume this also means we're going to get David Tennant back again. Like I think it'd be a missed opportunity to have Rose as the Doctor and have kind of 2 versions of David Tennant's Doctor out there and not bring one of them back to have that reunion moment with those 2 characters. So Even though neither one of them would technically be the main version of their characters.
Where's this at here?
Jake is just like, I don't know what the heck he's talking about.
I'm like 10 years behind on Doctor Who, man.
All right, so
I'm
Me
going to
too.
pretend I know.
you guys, we are 6 out of 10 super chats with an hour to go. So if you guys want to drop 4 more super chats on the Reloaded channel, we will do a poll, and we're going to be talking about whatever it is you guys vote on in the next stream. We do have 2 topics for the stream. We're going to get to that in just a second. We're about to finish out the last couple of topics here. Let's go ahead and do this one. We got some pictures from James Gunn showing off some of our characters.
Yeah.
So we have Rachel here as Lois Lane. I've seen a lot of people complaining. They're like, why is she getting a separate poster for her? I'm like, it's Lois fucking Lane.
Right.
And he's giving posters to all kinds of characters. Feels like such
Someone
a
was
dumb
complaining
complaint.
about like the lack of posters, and James Gunn comments under it, "Hold your horses," and then posts it the next day.
Well, let me push back on that a little bit though, because I do feel like Lois and Jimmy have had less promotion than some of the other characters, which I haven't loved. And this isn't just revolving the posters. This is like in the trailers. Like, we didn't really get to see any of Lois Lane that much in that original trailer. It's had like one shot. Every clip that gets to come out, every sneak peek, it's always Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl and Superman. There hasn't been a lot of Lois Lane, which I'm glad. We're finally getting this poster and stuff like that. But I am slightly concerned with the lack of marketing with her because I'm just.
Well, they did release like a scene with her, right? Didn't you see that?
Finally, yeah, I did. And again, it's probably nothing. It's probably like I doubt James Gunn has like a vendetta against Lois Lane. Like, I don't think it's anything like that. But to me, Lois Lane is just as important, like right beside Superman. Like they.
Well, I'm kind of with Serenity. I noticed a lot of people complaining. Like they were singing the opposite song whenever it was like just the Metahuman posters coming out. I saw a bunch of people saying, "Where is the Lois poster?"
Yeah.
Right.
Like, why doesn't he have one?
So we have this. Then we have the poster with David as Clark Kent.
Doesn't this feel like Supergirl season 6, where they had the like blurred colored lines thing?
Somebody shared this one also in the Superman and Lois promo posters as well. They look very similar to this. I think it might just be a thing they do with Superman. Maybe.
Feels like
I don't
it's
know.
like trend now.
It's just bright colors. Yeah.
If you like Righteous Gemstones, you might recognize Skylar here as Jimmy Olsen. So
I know there's some controversy with him, but like,
what is the controversy? What is it? What do you?
It was the like Israel stuff that was going on last year.
Oh, did he make some comments about it?
There was a thing people would come out. It was like, I'm not going to speak on exactly what.
No, I know. I just didn't know if he made a comment on it or not.
It was going around where people were like, recast Jimmy, and I'm like, oh, okay. But like that aside, because I don't know the full story of that, the casting alone is fantastic. I think he looks phenomenal.
We have Michaela as Cat Grant here. Thoughts on this?
I thought that was Sabrina Carpenter.
Did you really?
For like a quick glance, I was like, "Oh, okay."
I'm gonna step away for 1 second. My cat is scratching at the door, so I'll be right back.
Cat scratch.
Michaela Hoover. This was another character, or not character, another actress that was in James Gunn's Guardians movies, was she not? As like a minor role.
I thought wasn't she in Suicide Squad, or am I?
Or no, that might have been it.
I think because there's that GIF that gets shared around every month.
Yeah.
That it's like, all right, guys, come on.
Wait, there's peanut butter that gets shared? No, I'm kidding. Sorry, whenever somebody pronounces it GIF, that's what I always go to, is that peanut butter.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she was the floor voice.
Oh, she's in both. Okay. All right,
wow. So
I'm
James Gunn loves her. Then.
Yeah. Did you guys see the stuff that apparently Rosenbaum was cast as one of the robots?
Is it a robot? I saw that he was cast in the movie for a couple lines, but I didn't see.
I think it was as one of the robots.
That's sick.
Yeah.
So are the robots actually practical, or
some are at least?
I think it's going to be a mix.
Because that's kind of awesome.
I like No, I like what Jay Bird said. Oh, okay. That's actually funny.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy finds out Clark is Superman. Well, maybe he can take it as good as the one from Superman and Lois did. And, maybe also this Jimmy will live past his debut scene.
Oh God.
That hurt so much. He was wow. He was in Smallville when I first saw him as Julian, and him being Jimmy Olsen was like awesome, but then they just like disrespected him so fast. Like, what the?
We could go into like the Batman v Superman all day if it's a good movie or not, but like, I don't think there's any arguing that's one of the stupidest thing in any comic book movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I don't get it. I don't like. I can understand the whole Dick Grayson thing because that has a lot of implications of what you can do there in terms of story. Like, I can get that.
Yeah.
Jimmy, though.
I mean, I'm not. I have mixed opinions on the whole Dick Grayson thing because, like, Oliver Queen and Dick Grayson are my two favorite DC Comics characters. So,
agree.
I had mixed opinions on that. However, I will say that it's been established throughout DC multiple times where if Dick was the one to die instead of Jason, and Jason has even asked Bruce this on multiple occasions,
right?
Jason says, "Would you cross the line and kill?" And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And
it works for that story they were telling.
We saw what happened, so I'll give that credit there. It hurt me, especially if like all those rumors that like Affleck and Goyer were supposedly going to do something with Red Hood at some point. I was like, oh, how are you going to do that though? But
I realized when I stepped away, I was like, I left like the shot of her like this on screen. I was like, okay. Yeah.
The chat was simping on it,
I was like, she's like singing about espresso or something. All right, here we go. We have Wendell as Perry White. I think he's gonna kill it in this role. This is so good.
Coming right off Marvel onto DC.
Yeah, I think this is great. And then the last one that Jim shared today was what is it? Beck Bennett as Steve Lombardi.
He kind of looks like Peter Poole.
That's Lombard, not Lombardi.
Who is this character? I don't remember this character.
He's just a Daily Planet worker.
Yeah.
Is he like what is he notable for?
Lombard in general has been in multiple iterations of Superman.
Yeah, but which one is the one that I would probably remember?
He's in My Adventures. He's the one that gets like Jimmy. He's like, oh,
that's right. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that version I remember. Gotcha.
And
okay.
He brought up once, and I think it's the pilot of Superman and Lois. Whenever they're flashing through the montage, and she's like, who told
that
you
makes sense.
Was it Lombard?
Yeah, he's got like a baseball mitt in his hand and stuff. So it makes sense. He's like the sports guy.
Lombard in Man of Steel was played by the guy that helped the female get out of the wreckage with Perry White. I think that was.
Oh, maybe. There's so I don't want to say this again, but there's a lot of characters in this movie. Like I wonder how many are going to get any like real like screen time.
So that's the thing. Like if it had not been announced that these characters were going to be in the movie, I doubt we would think of it as a lot. Because, look at it, I'm just going to use this movie as an example. Darren's probably heard me use this comparison more than once, but look at Spider-Man 2002, and imagine if all of the characters that had like minor and major roles in that movie would have been announced, then like everybody from Daily Bugle, everybody
So do you think they needed to do this? That's the question. Do you think it was worth it to announce every single individual like role, even the tiniest role?
Do I think it was needed? I don't necessarily know if it was needed, but I'm not upset that they did, because throughout this whole process, we've kind of been going along with Gunn as he's making the movie. So the fact that they went all out on that, I don't mind it.
100%.
I think the most screen time that are like the most that we're going to see of the characters are Superman and Lois, and then the next in line is the Justice Gang, and then everything else is small like.
Well, Lex.
Less, but sprinkled out throughout the entire film.
Yeah. To like go on your conversation there, Eric, like I think he's been very smart because that's been their way of marketing. There was such a long wait. There was a 2.5-year wait from when they announced the movie from when it's coming out. There was nothing for DC almost at all last year. So the main piece of DC content we had were these announcements, were the castings and the crew and all these various different pieces of this puzzle. And I feel like there hasn't been a thing like that from Marvel in a long time. Like, most of what we talk about with Marvel is like leaks and rumors and speculation.
Yeah.
Where this is them being like, hey, here's Lombard, here's Lois, here's Lex. And like, I can remember, and this is just us being chronically online, but like I remember each and every week us being like, we got Lex and now we got this person, and like that creates a connection with these actors and this cast.
I also think that James Gunn sharing the pictures on social media is kind of for us and not really for the general public, because
for sure
the general public is only going to care about the main actors. They're not going to care about these little tiny announcements. So Cameron with the $2 super chat says we didn't get a Ron Trope poster. So
who's that?
God, I know who that character is. I think he marries Lucy Lane.
Was he cast in the movie? Yeah, that's the thing, is I don't remember the name of being cast.
I'm pretty sure he was cast.
Christopher McDonald is playing him.
I think I remember this.
Christopher McDonald?
Am I right on that, Darren? Doesn't he marry Lucy? Or
I don't know.
Some connection to Lucy.
I don't know all that, but I do think I remember him being
not
cast.
Apparently there's 2 Christopher McDonalds.
Hold on, I gotta look this up.
Christopher McDonald. Yeah,
he does marry Lucy Lane. I just looked it up. That was just off memory. I was surprised I got that right.
All right, so one more Superman thing, and then we're going to answer this super chat. Talk about Black Panther being White Panther, and then we're going to get into our top 5 list. So,
oh boy.
Last little tidbit that I want to talk about is an animated Krypto series is in the works at DC Studios, according to James Gunn.
They should pull a Marvel and call it I Am Krypto. I'm kidding.
So, it's interesting that like this is resurfacing now, because this was actually announced like a couple of months ago. Like,
I thought it sounded familiar when I saw this. I was like, didn't they talk about this already?
Yeah.
I guess it's just like official. I wonder what animated series is interesting. I wonder what that means. Does this mean a bunch of little shorts on like Mac, or is this a full-fledged TV show that like bleeds the gap into in between Superman and like what is this exactly? Like I could see this being like a bunch of like 2-minute shorts of him doing like finding a food bowl or something silly. Like I don't know what this is.
But it's the thing is, I think what's going to make it easier for them to do is it's an animated series, so it's going to be like cartoony. I think. I mean, I assume it's going to be similar to the animation we get for Creature Commandos, I'm going to guess.
And I mean, to that point, just because it's animated, using Creature Commandos as Exhibit A doesn't mean cartoony and kid-friendly.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, well, I don't think Krypto would be rated R cartoon.
Well, no. Like, there's a chance they could probably still, like...
Like, what is he going to do, bite people's legs off and stuff? I don't know.
I mean...
I feel like Krypto is their kid-friendly thing. Like, I think this is going to be the character they're going to use for marketing to kids, because we're going to meet this
mascot.
Yeah, because think about it.
They can still hit deep themes.
We're meeting this character in this movie, then we're going to have an animated thing at some point, and Krypto is going to be in Supergirl.
Yeah.
I totally forgot Krypto was the Rock in Super Pets.
Yes.
I would have liked to. Thanks for bringing it up.
You know what's really crazy?
Yeah.
Krypto will have 2 animated shows, and Wonder Woman will have 0.
That's true.
All Wonder Woman has outside of the theatrical films plus Linda Carter was one animated movie like 13 years ago.
Think about this. Krypto is the through line for all of the DC. What if he's in every movie that comes out with like...
He's going to have 2 animated shows and a high-budget animated movie.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
High-budget animated movie?
Yeah. Super Pets.
Oh.
He's the lead of that movie.
Yeah. That slipped my mind for a second.
Slipped a lot of people's minds.
Anonymous coming through with political chat here. $1.99 super chat. Did you guys see Musk and DJT broke up? Yeah, I've been watching it all day on social media. It's been like all the entertainment. Like we were sitting there watching TV, and I'm just like scrolling through, reading all of the comments that were made or whatever. I'm gonna say this: it is entertaining. I'll give him that, but this is not good. Like it's just not good in any sense of the way. Like it's bad
fake,
for everybody,
right? Like it does. Like this feels like something you would see on like Saturday Night Live, and it would be a great skit. It's awesome.
The problem is, I don't think Elon's playing around when it comes to his company and stuff. That's the issue. Like, I would say that maybe it is fake, but he's putting his brand on the line for this. You know what I mean? And I would say, okay, so let me put this out there. Everything that was said could have been orchestrated, except when he accused Trump of being on Epstein's list. That to me was like, that's not something that they would joke about, right?
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
I feel like that's a bad thing. So outside of that, I might believe that it's orchestrated, but saying that Trump is the reason why they're not releasing the Epstein list is a big accusation. That's a big problem.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to say it was fake. I'm saying it's so ridiculous that it seems like it would be fake. It seems like something you'd put in like a TV show or a parody music video.
Harrison says they broke up at the start of Pride Month. He said they broke up at the beginning of Pride Month. Well, a lot of commentators were saying it was like, I think one of the people on Fox News, I can't remember which one it was like, it's like my parents fighting. And I'm like, so what? They're two dads? Like you're saying they're two dads fighting now, I guess? So,
they were on the break.
Look, we already look like a joke to the rest of the world with all of the political fighting that we have going on. Like this is just more and more of that. And the issue is, let's put this in perspective before we move on, because I don't want to go to this. We could talk about this for like hours, but put this in perspective. Elon has access to everything. He's seen so much stuff. So the fact that he's fighting with our president right now is not good, people. It's not good. Okay, I just need you guys to understand that. Like, this is not a good thing, and we're gonna have to see what happens with this. I don't usually go like head first into politics. If you come to the Shillcast, we'll probably talk about it over there. But this is one of those situations where even though it's entertaining to watch, it is not good for the health of the country to have this stuff going on. Period. So I'm just going to drop it there, but thank you for the super chat. And Darren said he'll be right back. So he's going to miss the black-white Panther conversation, maybe. We'll see. Let me find the post here, because I actually had to go and confirm this because I didn't believe it. Spoilers, though, if you are looking forward to the next Black Panther storyline.
Wait, who reported that?
Bleeding Cool. And they've got the pages from the comic, so I know it's real.
Okay. I was about to say, because if that was something that Humberto Gonzalez reported, I'm not going to believe that.
Yeah, I actually read through the article, unless they went through and made up pages from a comic, which I don't think they did. It is real. So let me share this over here, though. Share this tab instead. Spoilers if you care about this, but by now you've probably already seen the news, so it doesn't really matter. But this is connected to an article. I read the whole article before we went live. So unless it's a very well-orchestrated hoax, this is real. Marvel Comics introduces T'Challa's white son, Katima, and Marvel Knights The World to Come #1. Katima challenges T'Challa for Wakanda's throne and wins, becoming the new Black Panther. Katima is depicted as white, which has sparked controversy.
Didn't we talk about this on the stream? Like this would be like the worst case scenario.
I don't think I said worst case. My opinion on this has been consistent across the board. I don't have an issue with storylines where they change like gender or race or whatever, as long as the story has some meat on its bone. Like I don't care about these kinds of things in a big way. I only have an issue with it when it's glaringly obvious that they did something specifically because they just wanted to get controversy for doing it.
It feels like we manifested this.
Well, I mean, we didn't manifest it. A lot of people on social media manifested it.
We were talking about it, and then it just happened.
Well, it's not brand new. They've been talking, that whole Ryan Gosling Black Panther meme has been going on for like 3 years now, so it's not really something absolutely new.
Ooh, I was worried for a second.
But Jake, what did you think? Now that you know this is real, what are your thoughts on this, just based on what we know?
Well, kind of like you, I don't like when the changes are made and then the character just becomes whatever change is made. I don't like whenever that's done, because it's, like you said, it's done purely just to get people riled up and essentially shoot a bunch of different people the bird. I don't like when characters are made like that, because then they're not characters, they are outlets to push someone's agenda. And with this, again, there have been multiple Black Panthers. Black Panther is a mantle. Granted, it is one that has had a heavy basis in African culture. So I see a lot of ways this could go wrong. I'm not outright sold on the idea, but I'm also not sitting here, getting a pitchfork and a torch ready.
Here's another thing: it is a alternate Elseworlds like story. It's not the main continuity story.
Right.
So,
yeah. I wasn't addressing it as like, hey, this is a big change that they're making to mainline Black Panther. I'm not saying that. And if that's one of the good things about Elseworld stories, is you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, but like actually make it to where you are telling a story with characters,
right?
And you're not just putting quote unquote characters in there again as outlets to push an agenda.
So I would say for me that, okay, so there's a character named White Wolf, which they used to say that Bucky was going to be the White Wolf character because he was living in Wakanda for a while.
Yeah.
Is a character that, if I remember correctly, and chat's going to correct me if I don't, because you guys love to correct me, but I believe it was a character named Hunter who became White Wolf that was adopted as part of the family in Wakanda and was raised alongside T'Challa. Is that correct?
Yes, because White Wolf came out, it was like in the late 90s. And that's, I believe you just got the cliff notes of that character down right.
I do think also that they name dropped White Wolf for Bucky too.
They did. Yeah, I think they just called him the White Wolf, but he was never officially White Wolf. Like, I don't think that was
from a marketing standpoint. And like on the opposite side of the spectrum too, I doubt they're ever going to do this in universe, but there is, one of M'Baku's aliases, the Man Ape. Obviously M'Baku, who comes from Wakanda, he dons a mantle that involves a giant white ape suit.
Right.
So, I don't know if they're going to do that.
Yeah.
But
well, I also want to point out that this is not a white T'Challa. That's a very important thing that people have to understand. Like, this isn't race swapping T'Challa with another person that is of another ethnicity, which is that's always been my argument. Like, when it comes to mantles, I believe all mantles are up for grabs under certain circumstances.
And that's what Black Panther is. It's a title. It's a wolf. Wow. I said wolf because we were on that topic.
Yeah.
Title. It's a mantle that multiple people have adopted.
Yeah. So I think as long as the story drives the narrative and it means something, I don't have an issue with it. And I've been consistent about that across the board. However, and this goes out to all of the Chud channels, all the grifty channels out there, if you have ever said that Steve Rogers is Captain America and a black guy could never be Captain America, you cannot all of a sudden be like, this is okay.
Yeah.
Like, you should be just as mad about this as you're mad about, like, Sam being Captain America.
Or Miles being Spider-Man.
Exactly. So if you have ever done that, and I'm saying this to all of them, if you have ever said that, you can't have an exception to the rule because it's a white guy. You need to be consistent across the board. And my opinion has always been, look, I even said, somebody came into the chat and they were like, why don't they make a Ryan Gosling Black Panther? You know what I said? Do it. I don't care. Like, I genuinely do not care. If it ends up being shit, it's going to be shit and people are going to reject it. I don't really care about that. So to me, this story is controversial because of the simple fact that it's like a white guy holding the title of Black Panther. I think that is something that we're seeing in comics in this Elseworld story, and I get that people are like going crazy over it and stuff, but we don't know. It's the first issue of a multiverse story. We have no idea what direction it's going to take. What happens if the next issue, it becomes like a racial thing? Like they start talking about racism and stuff. We don't know where they're going with this. We have no fucking idea.
And to, play, I don't know what the opposite term for devil's advocate is, angel's advocate, I guess. But, what if they use that story and that character, say he enters that, enters Wakanda, takes on that mantle, and there is a lot of prejudice for it because of
him being white.
Yeah, and
yes,
that story would essentially be him speaking out against.
Yeah,
or just
again
the world speaking out against it.
That's what you're saying. Like what you're saying there is exactly what my point has been about these TV shows and stuff. When people have a reaction to something, like a knee-jerk reaction to it, and they don't wait until we see the whole fucking story, you don't know what it's going to be. Yes, this could be quite controversial. But again, before we move on from this, my opinion about this has been consistent across the board. As long as the story makes sense, and I think it's interesting to me, I don't care. You can change any character around for any reason. But I want to reiterate that this is a character named Katima. This is not a white T'Challa. It's just a mantle passing to a different character. Darren, do you have any thoughts on this before we look at your super chat?
It's a loaded one.
Isn't it?
Bold strategy.
I mean, I'd rather if they didn't, I guess.
I agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not like, hell yeah, bro. It's interesting to have him beat T'Challa for sure. Like, that's definitely a choice. I am interested in the story. Like, I'm not going to read this, obviously. But, like, I would be curious about the consequences. Like, what does Wakanda do with the white leader? Like, that is, in theory, some story.
I think that might be that might be the juxtaposition of what the story is.
Yeah.
Like,
he
the idea of the white guys leading the country.
Well, he could also challenge T'Challa's morals and ideals in a similar way to Killmonger did back in that first film and make T'Challa realize something about himself and be a better leader because of it.
I was just going to say, is there anything that says he's the good guy in this story? Because, like, this sounds like a good villain story.
Well,
right?
In the pages that they show on Bleeding Cool, the ones that I was able to read, it looks like he keeps his face covered for most of the comic, and he only reveals who he is at the very end of the comic.
Gotcha.
So we don't really know who, like, we don't, at least from a reading standpoint, I don't think they know that it's a white guy. Like, I don't think they know. I think that's why. So look, the fact that they waited to the end to reveal his face tells you that the whole point was this reaction. They wanted people to be, like, basically taken aback by all of it. So
yeah, that would, I think, be the big thing. Like, if going forward he was your new Black Panther pre-permanently, I'd be like, well, no, that's stupid, right? Like, I wouldn't like that. But if this is like a story thing,
it's a limited run Elseworlds, like, multiverse story.
If it is more of like an antagonist to T'Challa, I kind of think that's a cool idea. If it's written properly, and if
I don't think there's any chance that this character continues being Black Panther outside of this multiverse story. I don't think that's going to happen. So
I saw all those Twitter accounts being like, "Oh, the MCU's already, they already got Ryan
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling on the phone." It's like, no, they did. Like, how gullible do you think we are?
Yeah, he's busy with Star Wars.
I mean, let's take this in context, because Parth makes a good point, right? Like, everybody in that space on YouTube, all the things they hate are reflected in this. It's a multiversal story, which they hate multiverse stories, which means it's not canon. That's number one. It's a race swap, which they always complain about. So, why are they happy about that? You know what I mean? And it's the lead character, the hero, getting beat by somebody who comes along with no backstory, no work whatsoever, and they manage to beat the lead character with no trouble whatsoever. It's everything they complain about all in one story. But somehow they're excited about it. I wonder what the reason for that is. I wonder why they're excited about it. We'll let them speculate on that one. All right. So it is time to get into the fun stuff. We are one super chat away from hitting the goal on the Reloaded channel. We are 9 out of 10. with
One person give up their Dunkin' Donuts meal.
22 minutes left. All right. And we do have a super chat from Darren and a member chat from Lone Wolf. So let's drop the
Darren's
controversy
like,
off the screen. So Lone Wolf's a member chat here, a member for 55 months. Gotta get a little horny here. Yeah. Have you seen Marvel Tokon yet or Gen V2 trailer? So we're not going to watch the trailer again because, Darren was right. Everything got flagged from that, so we're not going to do that.
I'm glad you were able to get that VOD back, though.
Yeah, the VOD's back, but yeah, the trailer's gone. Gen V is one of my most anticipated shows, so I'm really excited for that season.
Hell yeah.
I think it's a great show. As far as the Marvel Tokon, the only thing I've seen is the Ms. Marvel stuff. There was like a fight. I saw like a gameplay or a trailer and a gameplay moment from like Ms. Marvel versus I want to say Iron Man. I think it was. It might have been Captain America. I can't remember. I'm excited for it. Let me just say this. DC is lacking on games right now. Marvel, even though they've canceled some stuff between Rivals and now this, I think Marvel's heading into like a really good era of like competitive gaming for them.
They have a lot of games right now. Like they have Rivals, they have this, they have that arcade game that they announced a couple of hours ago. They just announced
that arcade collection,
a new mobile game, which I know isn't as big, but like next year you have the Black Panther Captain America game. Like you have the didn't they just do like a like Marvel versus Capcom thing, like a huge collection?
Yeah, that's coming back, the collection. Yeah,
and like EA's working on that Iron Man game. Yeah,
they have you have like Spider-Man 3 and Wolverine. Like they are killing it over on the game side. It is, and hopefully it can continue. But like I think we've had this conversation a lot, Eric, where it's like that only helps Marvel's just like marketing team. It's just like having all of these games out there that people
have said that they believe that the Fantastic Four inclusion in Marvel Rivals is what's driving a lot of the interest in the movie right now. So
I'm wondering, and this is gonna be a stupid thing to say, but I'm wondering because we got announced that Superman's going to be in the next update for the new season of Fortnite. I'm wondering if that's going to help the Superman stuff at all.
I don't know. I think DC needs to find an answer because now Marvel has not only a Fortnite like Overwatch game, but they also have like a Street Fighter game now. So it's like, a Super Smash type game. So you have those two games on the market with some other stuff on the horizon, like the 1943 Captain America game or whatever that's coming out with Captain America and Black Panther, which is a story-driven game. They have a lot of things happening. Remember when James Gunn said that he wanted to do games included with the DCU?
Yeah, bad idea.
We've never. Yeah, I said the same thing. Bad idea. They should be focusing on these kinds of games where they can just kind of promote or whatever.
And like there have been talks, like all throughout the mill that like it feels like we're going to get an Injustice 3 announcement anytime now. It's like,
I hope not.
So Marvel and DC both like they haven't had a fighting game since 2017. Because that's when you had Injustice 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Right.
But what I've said you could do with not only Injustice, but also this Arkham franchise too. Yeah, those franchises made money, but just make new franchises because the characters will sell.
Yep, it's the IP. It's the IP, really.
Yeah.
I'm fine doing like another like Mortal Kombat template DC game. I think that works well for them. That's fine. I just think I feel like we're trying to move on from how we view those Injustice characters. I'm not saying it's bad to have those as Elseworld kind of characters out there, but
you want something more mainline, like a main continuity type game.
Plus, I don't think they want to continue Injustice without Kevin Conroy.
That too. I think that honestly did more harm to Superman and Wonder Woman's reputation than the DCEU did. That did so much damage. I
depicted Superman as pure evil.
Yeah, like that is for what a lot of people view Superman as, and it drives me insane. I don't think I can fully get into that game, to be honest.
Look at what happened with Superman's game appearances prior to New 52. I'll use this game as an example. It's a game that's about to turn 20. Justice League Heroes. It was kind of DC's answer to the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games in a way, but that just that tone and feel of the Justice League very much was kind of replicated off of the Timverse stuff, where Superman is depicted as, like, yes, he's got a little bit of edge to him, but he is depicted as heroic at the end of the day, and those games kind of captured that tone. And with, Injustice coming right off of, New 52's, like, rise to fame, of course, Superman was depicted with a lot more edge into those, and then, you can debate all day with how Superman was handled in DCU, but even then, you got Superman quote-unquote adaptations like Brightburn, evil version, Omni-Man, bad version, Homelander, bad Superman version. The list goes on. So,
and I know 3Dub does not like evil Superman, right? 3Dub.
It's been shown so many times.
I know. I knew he was gonna say that. Like, does not like them. So,
like, think of something new. How about Rainbow Superman? Let's go with that one.
Cody here, member for 65 months, coming through with the power, says DC is basically on fraud watch with games. Yeah.
Can we stop the live service stuff, please, God? Sorry.
I mean, I don't like live service either. I actually really appreciate story-driven games, or like, look, I've said this before with Marvel Rivals. I don't mind games you can play free where the cash shop is just skins and things like that. Like, I don't care about that.
Don't mind that at all.
I mean, we've talked about this so many times, Eric, but they need one DC game, one that's free, that they could just keep updating for every single movie. They need their Fortnite, not necessarily that template, but also maybe not the worst idea either.
I mean, can you imagine,
like multiverse? Wait, never mind.
Multiverses, yeah.
That just died.
It
just
did.
died, yeah.
But look, I would say, like, if you think about it, leading up to, say, Spider-Man and fucking Doomsday and all of these movies, with Marvel Rivals and now the Tokon game or whatever, they can just drop things in, like skins and characters, to advertise all of those coming up. And that is your fan base. Those are the Marvel fans that are still playing and that are locked into that.
Yeah, I mean, hell, the mobile games are doing it. I just, was showing you guys this last week, and I sent Darren the update picture. That Marvel Future Fight game, even though this series is like a year old at this point, they just did an update for X-Men 97.
Yeah.
So they're still doing it. They did updates for both MCU movies that came out this year. I imagine they're going to do it for Fantastic Four as well.
That's what DC is. That's the piece of the puzzle that DC is missing. They need to figure out.
Well, they haven't had as much upcoming content lately to promote through that way, so that hasn't been helping them.
Yeah. Lone Wolf the Challenge Super Chat says, love that Arc 5 is animating the new Marvel game. Yeah. So a lot of people have been loving how fluid the animation looks. It's very, very, very clean, and it moves with a lot of like the frame rate is very smooth on it, which I think is important. We'll see. I might actually get into that game. I like Smash Brothers, Mortal Kombat, like Street Fighter type stuff. I can't really play Rivals because I get motion sickness, but the rest of them go with
like and Jake would probably know more about this, but like it looks a lot like your like Contest of Champions a little bit, just in the way that game is like templated out to like one side, the other side. No.
Yes and no.
I didn't watch the trailer, so I'm probably way wrong.
That's a better comparison than something like Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is like gives you the entire stage to move around in freely. Granted, you're still restricted by 2D, but that's also like the stages are just designed very differently. So that's closer, but again, the thing that it is probably the most applicable to is the basically if they did Marvel vs. Capcom without the Capcom.
Right. Yeah. And we have, before we get into our top 5 list, we have a super chat from Darren here, 499 super chat.
Who?
Thank you so much, Darren. Did anyone watch the return of Phineas and Ferb tonight? I didn't even know it was coming back. Like, I saw I think it was a tweet you made or something, right before literally we went live, and I was like, wait, what? So it's back? Like, it's legitimately, like, what is it on?
Disney, it's airing for the next 10 weeks on Disney Channel, but the first 10 episodes are airing tomorrow on Disney Plus.
Really?
That is that's got to be the longest summer vacation ever.
Well, this season is the following summer, so we're starting fresh.
When did the last season end? How long has it been since the last season?
15. It's been
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Was it
That's why.
2012? I think.
Really? It's been that long ago?
Let me look. It started in 2007. It ended in 2015. Okay, so it's been 10 years.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
A long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And how many episodes dropped?
One tonight on the Disney Channel, and then tomorrow will be 10 episodes on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a huge fan of that template. I wish they would do weekly on Disney Plus. I would prefer that instead of just it's all here, just whatever. It's like okay.
Right.
Well, Darren, I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.
I'll have to
The
check
first
it out after the
episode
stream.
was pretty fun. It's definitely a very interesting first episode because it definitely gives you the hits. It definitely
That's like a childhood thing for you, right? Like when you were growing up, that was one of your shows.
Oh yeah, no, it was like one of my
awesome,
first
man.
things growing up. Like it was one of my obsessions growing up. So it's like I remember when it ended, I would go online every day and search up Phineas and Ferb to see when they were going to bring the show back because I was like, it's not over. It's not over. And I did that for 2 years. I was in denial that it ended. I was like, no,
Darren just could not
can't be
cope with the
it.
concept of a show being canceled.
I was like, no, I can't be.
Lone Wolf with a $2 super chat said it's more like Blaze Blue games. I'm not familiar with those. Blaze Blue? Have you ever played that, Jake or 3Dub? Blaze Blue
It's
games?
not ringing a bell.
Not familiar with that, Lone Wolf. I'll have to look it up afterwards just to see.
I might recognize it if I see it, but the name's not ringing a bell.
Okay, so let me get my list ready down here.
Which one are we doing first?
Let's do...
Ah.
Oh, hold on. Wait. We hit the goal, by the way. We hit the goal, and nobody told me to make a poll.
I said an hour. It's been an
Okay.
hour.
What are the things we're doing? Because I didn't do shit yet.
Okay.
I
So
reminded you.
while I make the options up for the poll, okay, we're going to do top 5 favorite non-Marvel or DC superhero comic book movies.
Okay, gotcha.
The other is top 5 favorite 90s movies.
Gotcha.
Okay. Some of them may cross over, but I would say try and split them off if you can.
Okay.
If not, that's fine.
None of mine will cross over.
Let's see.
I have one that could, but
I feel like I
I'll
know
pick
what
a
that is.
Lion King.
I wouldn't call that a superhero movie.
I was gonna say what?
It was a superhero. He
I
saved
don't know
Pride
about that one,
Rock.
Chief.
He saved Pride Rock. from
Okay, see,
Tyrant.
this is gonna be an interesting conversation about what we consider a superhero.
Yes,
movie.
100%.
Because
So-
I could make the argument of Mario's a superhero.
So-
Does Mario count?
I'll be honest. That one, so the non-Marvel DC superhero list, I came up with that list in no time. The one for favorite 90s movies is one that took me a little bit longer to think about. I don't know if anybody else has this, but there were a couple honorable mentions that I did put on my my list for this superhero films, just because the list wasn't big enough, but I still wanted to at least to mention a couple of these.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Same with me.
here's what's on the poll for now. Okay, this is the poll. You guys have to vote on it. The first one is Team Battle. Again, let me explain what that is. The chat will pick a villain based on a poll, and then we have to select a team of 5 to take that villain down, and the chat will determine who the winner is. That's what Team Battle is. So say, for example, they pick Thanos. We would have to pick 5 MCU characters to take out Thanos. That's what it is. And the chat decides who wins. The next one is top 5 worst TV shows of all time. So we can pick our least favorite shows. Top 5 most forgettable TV shows. So that's shows that we might love that nobody else remembers. Like they're just forgettable TV shows. Or we might hate them. I don't know. And top 5 worst Arrowverse suits.
Oh,
So
No 90s theme?
not in that we're doing 2 today that have not possible 90s in it. We might do some Y2K stuff next week. We'll see.
Are we just a question here? Are we doing just superhero movies, or could it be a comic book movie too?
Superhero / comic book, as long as it's not Marvel or DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Making sure.
All right.
There's some comic book movies that aren't superheroes. So I was curious about that.
All right. So you guys go ahead and vote on the poll. Let's see. Over at the Debunks channel, we have some people in the community killing it. Right now, JKung5688 is number 1 in chat XP. Number 2 is Parts Parody. And number 3 is the Maestro. And you get those points by engaging in the chat.
Wait. Darren, are you looking up there to see if you have anything superhero related that's not Marvel or DC?
Yep.
Oh
My movie show. Unfortunately, half of this shelf right here is like MCU movies.
Yeah, like a third of it is Ben 10.
I'm going to do mine out of order, but everybody else can explain what their order is as we go through these.
Ooh, there are Ben 10 movies, Jake. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Those ones suck, though. I can't pick those.
I love how you immediately went back on it. You're like, ooh, there are, but wait, they're bad.
All right. So we're going to start with, let's do favorite night. Wait, Darren, which list are you working on right now?
I just did the superhero movie.
Okay, we'll do that one first then.
Okay.
Yeah,
We will start with, let's start with me, and I'm doing this in no particular order. So these are just my 5 favorite non-Marvel and DC superhero movies.
Okay.
As always, if I pick something or anybody else picks something that someone else has already selected, they don't have to substitute unless they want to. So if you want to change it up and add something in there that somebody else has said, you don't have to. And in the chat, when we give our options, this is going to be the fun part. I want to see the chat score our movie in the chat out of 1 to 10. So if I give an answer and I say, this movie is one of my movies, in the chat, write the name of that movie and write what you would score it 1 out of 10. I want to see what the chat thinks about some of our options here.
There's probably some diverse opinions in here.
We'll see. I feel like the 90s one might be a bit more diverse, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1 for me is from 1994.
Okay.
And it's The Crow.
Gotcha.
The Crow is going to be my first.
Someone got that right.
So I think this is a great movie. I think they tried to replicate it recently, and it was awful. Did you guys see the Crow remake that came out recently?
I still have not. I haven't seen any of them.
I have avoided it on principle.
It's bad. Don't even bother giving it a shot.
What I've heard.
And I hate that it's bad because the cast isn't necessarily bad, but the movie's not good. That's one of those movies where there's certain films that I feel like you just don't have to remake them. And to me, The Crow is one of those movies. You can just, if you're going to watch The Crow, just watch The Crow. You don't have to remake it.
Yeah.
So that's my first one. So we're going to go, let's do counterclockwise for this category. Let's do counterclockwise. So that means 3-dub is next. How are you doing it? Are you doing 1 to 5, 5 to 1, or just no
I'm going
no
to also
order?
do 1 to 5, but also they're in no particular order too.
Okay, well that's fine. So what is your first one?
My first one is from, I think, 2005, and it's Push.
That's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one. Do you guys remember that one?
Okay,
I have not seen it.
yeah. I think I only watched it maybe once or twice.
I actually think it's a pretty good movie. It's not like great for me, but it's a good movie. Like,
it had a cool concept too.
Jasmine, 90s is the next category. This is just favorite non-Marvel and DC superhero movies. The 90s one specifically is the next category. We're seeing a 7 for that, an 8 out of 10. Wow, Anthony says Crow 2024 is ass.
Wait, Push. That's the one with Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2009.
Sorry, 2009 then.
All right, let's go. All right, so read, mine are not in any particular order. 3-dubs is not in any particular order. Everybody else can rank if they want, how they want. All right, Darren, so you are up next in the list. Go ahead.
So I'm glad I got here before Jake, because I don't know. I feel like maybe one of you guys have this on your list.
All right.
Incredibles is my number 1, without a doubt.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'd argue the first Incredibles movie isn't just the best non-DC Marvel. I'd argue it's better than anything DC and Marvel has ever.
It's on my list, of course.
It's on my list, yeah.
I freaking knew it. Of course it is, because it's a masterpiece.
And I left it, like, I didn't put it immediately because I wanted you to have that.
I appreciate that.
I would say that to me is like a really good blueprint for like what the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's the
movie
best
could be.
Fantastic Four movie.
It is it is a masterpiece, and I think it is such a template of like what I like from like quote unquote kids movies, because it's like it is not a kids movie.
No.
It has like
Kids can
death
enjoy
and
it,
murder and like stories about like affair and divorce, and it is just a dark movie, period.
And it was going to be a lot darker.
It was, and like Syndrome is, I'd argue, one of the greatest superhero movie villains of all time. He is fantastic.
I can't believe he's voiced by My Name is Earl.
Great. I think it's I think it's in my like top 5 favorite movies of all time.
And if everyone's super, no one's super. Yeah,
I quote that all the time because it fits in so many situations.
Did the score for that movie, and he's scoring Fantastic Four. It's like,
that's cool.
That's perfect.
I can't believe that he was Syndrome and Underdog. Like, My Name is Earl guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Darren, is yours in any particular order, or is that out of order?
That would be my number 1, but I'm not going in order.
Okay.
I did it first to get it in front of anyone else.
All right. So, Jake, go ahead. What is your? Are you doing an order or not?
So, this one is like technically my number 1. It is the first one that I thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess technically these would be like 1 to 5, but I'm not like particularly fussy about the order. But the first one that I have here, I'm glad no one took this one. I have from 1986, Transformers the movie, which was the movie that got released in theaters as it was based off of the show. It had came out after the first 2 seasons, and I think the reason I have that one is because I just have so many fond memories of watching the Transformers cartoons on DVD on loop with my dad. We stayed up several nights watching that, and still cry a little bit at the Optimus death, even though it wasn't finalized.
Got a great soundtrack too, by the way.
Oh, one of the best soundtracks, I think. Stan Bush absolutely nailed it out of the park, and it wrecked so many kids seeing Optimus die that they had to put that thing at the end that said Optimus will return.
I remember that being a big controversy, like when all that happened. So.
People were not happy, and it also it takes out a lot of it's a bold movie because it takes out a lot of fan favorite characters that people love in the first 5 minutes. Takes out people like Ironhide, like one of my favorites is Prowl, and it's a relatively short movie. It's like it's a little over an hour long, but I just found it to be despite being a movie where it's about like all these robots that go to alien planets and that are trying to find like a power source to keep going and figuring out who should have the Matrix leadership next. There's something oddly simplistic about it, about kind of finding yourself, finding who you are, and the fact that you're able to kind of have that done through robots. I really enjoyed, and I will die on this hill to this day. That movie from 1986 is still the best Transformers movie.
I would agree with you. Chris here says Incredibles is a masterpiece, 100 out of 10.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
all right, so since you took
I have
Incredibles
so many memories from that, and I also, fun fact, I did meet Peter Cullen, aka Optimus Prime, Michael Bell, aka Prowl, and Frank Weckler, aka Megatron.
You met all of them in person?
Yeah,
that's
met
cool.
all 3 of them. Yeah.
All right, since you took Incredibles from me,
that's incredible.
I'm going to move on to my next one, which is a 2012 movie.
Oh.
With a certain person, an actor that we know from The Boys. It is the Dread movie from 2012.
Damn, I'm good with the names.
Carl Urban was in that one.
Yes,
and although I love the other Dread with Sylvester Stallone, that's a little silly and cheesy. I think Dread from 2012 is the best of the Dread movies, of the 2 Dread movies. I think it's the best one. So I would say it's very violent, but it's very well made, and it's actually very, very. The fidelity of the character from the comics into the movie is much better than it is in the Sylvester Stallone movie. The only difference I will say, the Sylvester Stallone movie has a bit more charm to it because the characters have more personality. But outside of that, I think 2012 Dread is one of my favorite non-Marvel and DC superhero movies of all time. So, all right, 3Dub, it is your turn. What is your next one? Because I know, was Incredibles on your list?
No,
Okay, so go ahead. You go ahead. You get next.
not even in my mentions.
Wow. Wow.
All right, Darren is now planning your downfall.
Well, I was thinking live action, not anime, when I was making my list, so that's probably why. So my number 2 is from 2008, and it's Jumper.
Jumper's good too.
Okay, yeah, I remember Jumper.
I really, really like that movie.
I really liked how it made Hayden Christensen spread from Star Wars. It made him he felt like an.
I feel like that movie should have set him up for a bit more, like in terms of films after that.
It was really.
I thought it was good. It's worth a watch.
Also, interesting concept with what they did with him.
Oh yeah. All right, so we're gonna move over to Darren. What is next on your list?
Ooh, okay, which one do I want to go for? I'm going to go for it. I doubt anyone else has this on their list because, does this really count as a superhero movie? All depends on how you look at the movie.
Okay, well, come on, test the boundaries of the list here.
And it's Birdman. Birdman with Michael Keaton.
I would say that because the character is still a superhero character, I think it still fits into that.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and it really does depend at the end of the day because I love movies where you don't quite know what the truth is. I always like things like Shutter Island and Birdman.
Oh yeah,
so fascinating.
Oh, Shutter Island, that's a great movie.
I still have the DVD of that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And
Birdman was nominated for a ton of awards too.
Yeah.
So
Michael Keaton.
You gotta love how it went
that
from
role.
Batman to Birdman to Vulture.
Yeah. For sure. And it's one of those movies where you end it's he wasn't a superhero, and then you go to bed and we're like, oh, was he?
Was he? Right, yeah.
Maybe
it's like all
I don't know. So it's such a and Michael Keaton kills.
Yeah, Michael Keaton always.
He's
yeah.
So good.
All right, Jake, you are up next. What is your next choice?
So, kind of like Darren, this is one where I don't know if you would typically count this one, but because of just really the personal story that I have connected to this movie, I do think it is one that is close enough for me to count it. So you can consider this cheating. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I am going with from 2021. Mortal Kombat. And you can
powers.
Well, hold on. I will say it's not cheating because I said superhero / comic book, and Mortal Kombat has a comic book.
Okay.
So it does count.
So, and the reason why I say that one, people might say if you're going to include a Mortal Kombat movie, why not the 1995 one? Which love that version as well. Grew up with it. Watched it maybe before I should have, but that's besides the point. I think that movie has a stacked cast from top to bottom. Joe Taslim, Hiroyuki Sanada. I think Mehcad Brooks is actually really good in that movie. Mm-hmm. Probably the standout for me is Josh Lawson. Kano was phenomenal. Does it take some deviations from the story with especially the main character? Yes, I think it does. But I still enjoyed the main character. I thought Louis Tan brought a lot to it as an actor, but the big reason why that movie is so special to me, and I've talked about this on and off with some videos and some streams over the past, but through the back half of 2020 to the start of 2021, from October to January, I had 4 back-to-back family deaths essentially that happened all within that small little window of time, and it was just loss after loss after loss, to the point where it put me in probably the worst spot I've ever been in my life mentally. And I was just kind of a recluse in my home for that entire time. Was not working as much as I normally did. Was just angry at the world, didn't want to do anything, didn't want to talk to anybody, be near anybody, go out, do anything socially. Put me in a really bad spot. And then that Mortal Kombat movie that came out in April of that year, that was the first thing that kind of got me into a theater and out into the world again, and got a little bit of a smile on my face. So for about hour 15 minutes, 2 hours, however long the movie is, I was able to just kind of put aside everything that I was going through, and it again really got me out of that funk. And that's what movies can do. They can help you escape the whole life pain that you deal with every day. So for many reasons, and just because of when it entered my life, when it did, and when I was exposed to it, I hold it as one of my favorites for that reason.
Okay. That makes sense to me. All right, so my next one is, hold on, from 2019.
Ooh.
Brightburn.
Okay.
I think if we're talking about like evil Superman movies, that's probably the best one.
You just pissed some people off.
Why is that?
I just feel like there's going to be a lot of, there's a lot of people I know that hate that movie.
I don't think the movie, like if you're holding it up as a mirror to like Superman and the DC, I would say that's probably why a lot of people don't like it. I think it's a really solid superhero horror movie.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I look at it. And I enjoyed it. I don't think we need more in that world. I think it's actually a really good film to just watch and sort of detach from everything. There's a lot of evil Superman, like 3W, you've talked about it. There's so many takes on evil Superman. If I have to pick one that I'm going to run with, it's going to be Brightburn.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
I will always prefer these like uncanon projects to do evil Superman than actual in-canon Superman.
Right. Because it's fun to play with that idea, like because it's fully self-contained in its own thing, so they can go hog wild with the concept.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic concept. Like I think it is a very interesting concept. It's kind of just like your stereotypical. Okay, so what if aliens came to Earth and they were evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of plays into like what. Actually, my favorite version of it probably is Kal-El on Superman Lois, Superman's brother, right?
Oh, Tal-Rho, okay.
I'm sorry, Tal-Rho, yeah.
I was like, who?
Kal-El, who? Yeah, but like that's kind of that interesting idea too of like, okay, he came to Earth, but he wasn't as kind-hearted as Superman. He, scorched Earth in the way that he does. It's like, interesting.
Right.
All right. With that being said, we're going to move on to 3W.
Oh, I was about to say, I have more. My number 3 is from 1994, and it's The Mask.
Oh.
Gotta throw in Jim
The
Carrey.
first one or the second one?
First one. No, the second one is a totally different title. Son of the Mask.
Yeah, it's like Son of Mask. I did have that on my list.
Wait, was his name Jamie something was on that one? Wasn't it Jamie Kennedy? Is that his name?
I don't know. I forgot. I
think
just
it was
care
Jamie
about
Kennedy.
Carrey.
He's no longer in anything, but for a while there, he was in everything. So I feel like that's who it was. I actually liked that one because of how visually exciting it was. So yeah, I understand why that one's on the list. All right, Darren, you are up next.
I am going to go with, I don't know the exact year. I think it's 1994, but I could be wrong. 1995. Is the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I had that on VHS growing up, and I watched it over and over.
You literally stole my final.
Again.
That was my final one.
That was my next one too.
That was my final one. We've knocked my list off. That was my last one.
I like how none had picked what I like.
That's 1990.
It was 90 exactly.
Is it 90? Okay.
Yeah.
It is. I think. List. I feel like that was one of my first introductions.
I watched that movie so many times as a kid, over and over and over and over again.
It is pure 90s.
Keep in mind when I say kid in 1990, I was literally like a teenager.
I had the VHS tape for that, and I watched it so much that I wore the tape out of the reel.
Oh wow!
And they had to fix it.
Yeah. That was so great. So I have no more now. That was my last one. So I agree with Darren, though. It is on my list for sure. that sparked so many things. Like that, like
God, yeah.
the entire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle empire that we have now literally came from that movie.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, it was a black and white comic book series. So there was nothing really big until that movie dropped.
There was, I think wasn't there one show before that? Wasn't there
Yeah.
one of the animated
Yeah,
shows?
Wait.
Yeah, there was a cartoon in the 80s.
Yeah, there
Before-
was.
Before
Yeah.
the movie?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about the one that was like, the one that had the theme song. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was out around the same time or not as the actual
that
movie.
came out in 87, I think.
It was because there was like when making that movie, there was a lot of disagreements about what direction they wanted to take it. If they wanted it to be inspired by the animated TV show or
okay,
the comic books.
Even
and they
though I
kinda did
think
both.
yeah, so even though my timing was off on that, I still feel like the movie was the thing that kicked it over.
It
as,
was,
like, the
yeah.
more
Yeah,
popular
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
so.
It brought it to main audiences.
Yeah. So that means I'm out. So Jake, do you have another option for your list there?
So I've got one left on my main list, and then a couple honorable mentions that I can like throw in the next round if we get there.
You can go ahead and do them all now because I don't have another one, so we're just going to run around.
All right.
So do everything.
So the last one, because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was on there, it got taken off. Incredibles got taken off. So my last one, also from 1990, is Darkman.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And, again, it is coming from my favorite filmmaker, so that's no surprise there. And I think that is just, again, a movie where you can see a creator's vision oozing onto the screen. Like, that was Raimi's first attempt at a superhero movie 12 years before Spider-Man, where he got to create, his own original character. It's jarring to go back and see how young Liam Neeson is in that movie. But just the concept, I thought, was really cool. Somebody that wants to wants to do good, but becomes horribly disfigured, so you can't perceive somebody looking like that as somebody who wants to do good. So it was one of my favorite scenes where Ted Raimi's character, who is of course Sam Raimi's brother, his character gets tortured by getting lifted up and down out of the sewer. That's still one of my favorite interrogations in movies. And again, it's just one where you can see the passion that the people involved had for the project. Has that 90s charm that I think just works so well for that time, and is just pretty much, I'd say, a blast from start to finish. I'm never bored watching that movie, and I've seen it multiple times. And then I guess if you said go ahead and throw out the honorable mentions now. The two that I had wanted to mention, I won't talk about as much for these because, again, they were honorable mentions, but I'll still give them mentions. First one is The Rocketeer. I had to throw that movie in as honorable mention.
That's a good one, too.
Loved that one. Another one that somewhere I have the VHS of. I don't know if I can find it right now. But loved that one as well. Like how... and it kind of resembles Iron Man in some ways, where it's somebody with a hero who is just like they're essentially building everything. It's not like it's gifted to them, like they made it all themselves, and then they use what they make to do good. And then the last one, again, I don't even know if this is going to be a superhero movie, quote unquote, but I picked it just because, and that is Jingle All the Way. I had to pick that one.
You know what?
I had to mention it. Somewhere I'll show this off at a future point, but I do have that Turbo Man toy in a box.
Oh my god,
that's really cool.
It has not been opened, and I'm never gonna open it.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't know. Like, that's just a movie where I think I enjoy that movie more than anybody else in my family. And I can just watch it on repeat time and time again. It never loses its charm for me. And if I just need a quick laugh, then I can throw that movie on.
Chronicle would count. Yeah, that's not a movie that's Marvel or DC. That would count.
Chronicle would count.
I actually had that on my overflow list, but I just took it off. But it was on my overflow list. Yeah,
that's one of the most interestingly made movies because it's like a camera within a camera.
A found footage movie. Yeah.
That's a really cool movie.
All right, 3Dub, I think you're on your last one, right?
Nope.
You're done?
Two more.
Okay.
We would both have two.
So you guys go ahead, give your two now, and then Darren can give his two so we can get through the list.
So I'm going back to 2008, and my number 4 is Hancock.
Oh,
okay.
That's a movie that it's like a love-hate movie. I think it's interesting, but It also falls apart a little bit in the design of the powers and how they work.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's okay. I think it's an interesting movie. It's one where Will Smith, you're supposed to hate him, and it's hard because he's such a charismatic person.
Yeah.
So, and what's your last one?
Number 5 is I Am Number 4.
Oh, okay.
And
I
my
thought you said
honorable
number 5.
No,
my
that,
5.
I know.
Wow.
damn it, Darren.
And
Wasn't
my
that based on a book? Isn't that based on a series? Like
Yes.
a book series?
Yes.
Yes.
My honorable mentions are Sky High and Underdog.
Sky High, I understand why.
That's a good
100%.
one.
Danielle Panabaker, right? Was
Another
it-
thing Bruce
Up
Campbell was
very
in.
early.
Yeah.
Another thing Bruce Campbell was in.
All right. So, that's right. He was like one of the
Yeah,
headmasters.
he was the coach. Yep.
Yeah. So Darren, what are your final 2?
My final 2 is going to be kind of like last week, Power Rangers 2017.
Great movie.
Okay.
Just as like that was such a fun experience just to see my childhood heroes on the big screen. That was such like a me and my dad movie, and ever since that movie has come out, every time I see him, he's like, "So when's the next one coming? When's the next one?" I have to be like, "Probably not happening, Dad. Sorry, it's just not happening." But that's just such a fun movie, and there's so much potential there. Is it flawed? Sure. There's things I probably would have done differently, but I think like retrospectively, there's been such a love that has come out for that movie and what they were trying to do. And like it tries to take all of this history and all of this nostalgia and do something very fresh and different with it, which I really appreciate. And it's probably should rewatch it again soon. And then my number 5 is, and I almost forgot about it until like 5 minutes ago. It's another Disney pick with Big Hero 6.
Oh.
Okay.
And, you know,
that's a good one too.
It's a really, really fun one. You know, it's not perfect. I think that third act kind of falls apart a little bit, but those first 2 acts are so much fun. Such fun heroes. So, you know,
Would
such fun
Iron Giant
characters.
count? Because that's a good one too. I feel like.
Yeah.
I'd argue.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll say this one could probably count too. I can't believe I didn't think of this until now. Hellboy.
Yes.
Yes. And my-
Spawn as well. Spawn. would
Spawn.
count.
Yeah.
My honorable
That's
mention.
Spawn himself.
Big Hero 6 1. Wow, Cerny.
Yeah. I would have 2 honorable mentions. I would say Megamind was a fantastic superhero movie. It is a superhero movie,
Yeah.
and it's a comic book movie, but
What about the second one?
no, definitely not.
No.
Scott
You know-
Pilgrim is also a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
comic
there
book,
you
but yeah.
Would 300 count?
If it was it a graphic novel? If it's a graphic novel, it does count. I don't know if it is though.
I can't remember if it was.
Okay, with that being said, it's time to move on to the list that I feel like we're not going to have any overlap on whatsoever.
There might be a little. I don't know.
There might be.
Maybe. Okay.
I have some big picks here.
There's one choice I purposely left off because I know Darren's going to pick it. So that
And
one's
I
not
feel like
there.
me and Eric are thinking of the same one that I left.
Okay.
out.
It'd be really funny if I left it out.
Oh my
Okay, so
god!
300
If you do it, we'll definitely get an honorable mention for sure.
Okay, so 300 was a graphic novel.
Okay, so that does count then.
Okay.
All right. I am doing mine in my list order from 5 to 1. So this is my least favorite of my favorites down to my favorite. All right.
Okay.
These are 90s movies. That's the only criteria. Doesn't have to be superhero. It doesn't have to be anything. Just 90s movies. All right.
Right.
At number 5 for me, from 1995, is a little movie called Hackers.
Okay. Okay.
That is a guilty pleasure for me because it is a bad movie.
Oh,
It's
no, it's
not-
bad. It's bad.
It's not good, but it's one of those like I can watch it over and over because it's so ridiculous that that's how they thought the computer systems worked. And
It's so fun.
like watching that movie, I'm just like, this is a visual guide for everything that is not literally computers.
I think that was
it's
the first thing I saw Angelina Jolie in.
probably she was great in that movie too.
Yeah.
So good. That movie to me is like such a product of its time. It really is like a movie that could only exist in 1995 because it perceived what virtual reality would look like and what all these worlds would look like. And they were dead wrong. It was all absolutely wrong. But it's so funny watching them like typing on the computer, fighting with each other. It's just like,
Yeah.
and the soundtrack is really
yeah.
good for Hackers. So that's my number 5 pick. Again, this is in that order. So with that being said, Jake, we're gonna now go in the clockwork order. So
I love
okay.
how each way I'm just
Right.
third each time, no matter what.
Yeah.
Good. So I'm gonna go from my my least favorite of my favorites to my number 1 also.
Right.
So my number 5 from 1997 is a movie called Event Horizon.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah. And I love the sci-fi genre. As I got older, I started to love the horror genre, and this movie to me is an excellent mix of both. Now, of course, the full version of what this movie could have been will unfortunately never see the light of day because, in case anybody doesn't know, there's a lot of footage that's missing from this movie and will forever, unfortunately, be missing because a lot of the footage that was going to be put into the final film, unfortunately, was lost in a fire, and like all of the stock footage that they had was lost in a burning building.
Really?
Yeah. If you look into the story, it's a whole thing. But it's got a great cast top to bottom: Sam Neill, Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Isaacs. For anybody who watches Gotham, a little man named Sean Pertwee was actually in there. It was the first thing I ever saw him in. Of course, he plays Alfred in Gotham. And I've always really liked space movies, and the fact that this one,
it's a horror movie in space, which is what makes it so unique.
The way that they mix those two genres so well, I was like, okay, you guys just nailed this. And there's another one I watched on repeat, so I had to include that.
I want to point out, Chris, that Hackers is not like Birdemic bad. Like, Hackers is a well-made movie that is just very cheesy.
Right.
It's very, very, very cheesy. Hack the planet. Like, it's really, really, really cheesy. It's one of my favorites, so obviously top 5. So,
and
all
that's
right,
what
Darren,
this list is about. It's not like definitive best. It's our favorites.
No, this is not a quality list. It's just our personal like top 5.
Yeah.
So, Darren, again in the 3rd spot. So, what is your list?
I mean, let's just get the one out of the way, and then we can go down of the ones you don't know. Is Lion King.
I knew it. That would have 100% been on my list too, but I left it off. So
yep,
it's one of those
here.
movies that's just like universally like I don't even exactly know what all I like about Lion King. It's just a perfect movie. That's just,
that movie makes me cry every time I watch it, and I know that it's coming, and it still gets me to cry every time.
I watch Lion King almost every year on my birthday because it's my favorite movie.
Even
of all
the
time.
fucking live action movie, when I saw that, I cried at that scene, even though the movie isn't that good. I still cried at it.
I saw that movie. I wasn't born until a year after it came out, but I saw it in theaters for its 10-year. Damn, Darren. Okay, I saw it in theaters for its 10-year re-release, and just that ending where they have the music crescendo and he's walking up to Pride Rock, like
Hans Zimmer.
It sent chills through the theater, man.
This is my personal favorite, like Hans Zimmer's work. Like I know there's probably better, but like it's something about just like the music in that movie and how they do it and the soundtrack as a whole. I argue is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
I would agree. Yeah.
Elton John. Oh my god, it's some of my favorite characters of all time. James Earl Jones's Mufasa is a voice that will just be in my head for the rest of my life. It is my number 1 movie of all time.
Okay,
and that's fair. That's completely fair.
So, 3Dub, what is your first? Is yours in any particular order? Or is it just
I'm going from best to worst?
So this is your number 1 then?
Yep.
Okay.
So my number 1 is from 1994, and it's Forrest Gump.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
What a good movie. Yeah. No, I love that movie. So quotable. That whole movie is so fucking quotable.
Jenny.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a great, great movie. All right. Next on my list, this is my number 4 pick. A movie from 1997. It is a movie that has a cult following, and I believe has been looked at as one of the best sci-fi movies of all time.
Batman and Robin. I'm kidding.
It is The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
I love this movie. It is a movie that I have been that I watch over and over and over again. There's so many great moments in it. I think Ruby Rod is amazing in that. I love the opera scene. I just love that movie. Is just so good. Like I understand it's ridiculous in most of its moments, but I think it's great. Mila Jovovich is great in that movie. I think
Gary
it's
Oldman's
fantastic.
great in that movie.
Gary Oldman kills it in that movie. Yeah. Such a good movie. So for me, that's number 4 on my top 5.
I haven't seen that movie in years.
Yeah, so you should check it out again. It holds up. So, all right, Jake, what is your next one?
So my next one, and again, like this is me going from 5th to 1 here. From 1994, I have In the Mouth of Madness. Which is a John Carpenter horror fantasy film, and I think this one resonates so much with me because like I just have such a background and a love and knowledge for just films and like how they're made and the ins and outs of making and the process as it goes together. And In the Mouth of Madness, kind of takes you on that journey of somebody who's trying to, be a writer for a film. And, not only is it a visual treat, but it also takes you on just the ultimate mind trip. Like you think where the whole thing is going down. And then within the last 5 minutes of the movie, your expectations are just subverted. It cuts to credits. I vividly remember this. The first time it cuts to credits, and I just went, wait, what? Like I got completely thrown off. I didn't know what to think. I had to rewatch the movie multiple times to try and make sense out of it. But it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Such a meta movie. I would heavily encourage anybody to watch that. I think it's one of Carpenter's best movies.
I also want to point out, if anybody's looking at the chat right now, you should see why the 90s is such a highly regarded decade for movies. In a top 5 list, it is impossible to include.
There's so many.
The amount of great movies
this is hard.
that came out in the 90s. So that's why I said I think everybody's list was going to be different, because I feel like there's so many options to choose from.
Yeah.
My next 3, there might be one on this 3 that you guys pick, but I think the other 2 for sure, no one's going to pick. We'll see. Fingers crossed. So far, we've had no copies on our list
Do
yet.
you want to go ahead and get the potential copy out of the way?
No, not yet.
Or is that okay?
Not yet. We'll see when we get there. With that being said, Darren, it's your go. What is your next choice?
Whew, okay, this one I'm wondering if anyone else has this one, because this is a pretty big one. So popular, we're getting a new one here pretty soon, and that's the. I think it's on this list. I think this is 90s Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
Jurassic Park
yes,
90s?
it
Okay.
is, it
I was
is.
like, wait,
Masterpiece of a movie.
Excellent
It's-
film.
Traumatized as a
It's-
7-year-old.
I am always so impressed when I watch that movie. That is such a magical.
It holds
movie
up.
to me.
There's literally nothing wrong with it. It holds up even now.
I watched it.
Sorry,
God, Jake, I'm sorry.
I just love and hate the fact that you got to see that in a theater because I felt so good for you, and then it was backed
Right.
up by Dominion.
I was about to say that. Yeah, like I watched it. It was that double feature, and I was awed by that theater experience with the surround sound, with that cinematic. I was like, this is one of the best theater experiences I've ever had.
Right.
Backed up by what I think is just an awful movie.
Look,
Terrible
Ruto here.
movie.
Did you guys just pick a bunch of Sam Neill movies? I mean, he was popular in the 90s.
Yeah,
so-
no, because I mentioned 2 Sam Neill movies. Darren mentioned 1. So.
Yeah, he was really popular. He was one of those like
Yeah.
A-list actors in the 90s.
Oh,
It
yeah.
also has arguably one of the greatest scores of all time.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Score.
Fantastic score.
Oh,
One of the
it's
most
so
memorable ones. Like,
good.
you hear that music and right away you know where it's from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single time.
So you just brought up a thing with the music. I'm gonna share this very quickly because this was like a quick story related to the music. We were this is back when I was in like middle school. We were doing a game of charades, like me and my friends and I, and somebody had written Jurassic Park on the thing. Somebody had written Jurassic Park, and you're not allowed to you're not allowed to say things like dinosaurs. You can make some like noises, quote unquote, if it fits it. And all 3 of us, without even thinking, we all just broke into the instrumental theme at the same time, and that gave it away really
my
quickly.
God.
That's
So
really funny.
yeah, you just made me think of that story. But anyway, sorry.
All right, so 3Dub, what is your next list item?
I'm going to 1999, and my second one is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's a fun one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Great movie. What do you like about it? Do you want to talk about what you like about it, or?
For someone that doesn't usually go for a chick flick type of movie,
Mhm.
it had aspects of like it had an interesting story. Also, you also had Heath Ledger singing, which was a highlight of the film.
Yeah.
It had it Ju- um, Julia Stiles, I think that's her name. Was her name?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Julia
okay.
Stiles. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was my first introduction to her in a film too, and I really enjoyed her acting in it. And then I also enjoyed the drunk dancing on the table.
Probably inspired by Beetlejuice.
Yes.
And then my other one was like I think his name was John Chris. He was in Numbers. I don't know the actor's name, but he was also Santa Claus #2 elf.
This was one of my.
I thought you were about to say John Krasinski. I was like, that's
Yeah.
not him.
No, that wasn't him.
This is on my honorable mention
thinking of
list. I just
Joseph
want to drop
Gordon-Levitt,
it.
aren't you?
Galaxy Quest, great.
Oh yeah, Galaxy Quest is a great movie.
Yeah. Again, I want to point out there's so many great movies from the '90s they can't be on everybody's list. So, all right. So my number 3 is an actual Marvel property from 1998.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh,
I,
no.
Yep.
I got a feeling this is the one that I thought people might have on their list.
It was on my honorable mentions in case one was taken.
Blade
Yep.
Oh,
with
okay.
Wesley Snipes.
Not on mine.
All right.
So I had that on my overflow list in case one of mine got taken.
So my actual favorite Blade movie is Blade 2. That's my favorite one. I think that's a better movie, but that's like a 2002 movie.
Yeah, right.
This is the 1998 one. It does have its flaws, but again, this is our personal list, like stuff that we love. This movie, for me, made all the other Marvel movies possible.
Yeah.
The success of this movie gave us the X-Men movies, and then gave us like the Spider-Man movies, and then gave us the MCU.
Yeah, and they did it with a C-list character.
Yes. And they got it right. Wesley Snipes was perfect for the role. I think everything else worked out in their favor. The style of it was right. I actually believe they copied this style for the X-Men movie, and they shouldn't have done that. I think the X-Men movie should have been more cartoony.
And you can tell with Blade, there was a lot of Hong Kong martial arts going into the cinematography.
Right.
So,
but I think that was the right choice for them to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So for me, that is my number 3 choice is Blade from 1998. So
I mean, hell, I even have a soft spot on my heart for Blade Trinity. Like, it's a very fun bad movie.
Yes, I like it for Ryan Reynolds. That's literally
it's a fun bad movie.
Yeah. If he weren't in that movie, it would suck.
You never liked me anyway.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly,
Jake,
Parker. Exactly.
Yeah. Jake, what is your next one on your list?
So, one that I have, I was going to mention Blade if nobody else did, but you did, so we got there. One that I have from 1998 also, I have The Mask of Zorro.
Oh, that's a good one.
And that is like just my favorite, like swashbuckler type of film. It works really
is that
great
the first one?
as an adventure movie. Yes.
Okay, good.
And love Antonio Banderas is one of my favorite actors. Also, little child me seeing that movie for the first time. Let's just say certain things happened when I saw Catherine Zeta-Jones, swinging a sword around.
I mean, we all did.
But the movie's just got a stacked cast from top to bottom. It's got Anthony Hopkins, for any CW fans. Also stars Matt Letcher, Eobard Thawne, stars him in the film too. And it's just a rock solid adventure movie that I can always turn on whenever I am just looking for something to watch. I could probably quote it back to front even if I were to turn the movie on today. And You know, it was just one of my favorite. You know, like, hey, have fun watching this type of movie, and that's what it was.
When the gold bars fell on Matt Letcher, I literally wanted to be like, too slow. He was looking for a slash.
All right, up next is Darren.
Okay. This is another one of my favorite franchises of the modern day that started here. From 1995. And I should also say Robin Williams is one of my favorite actors of all time. Jumanji.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, as a kid, something happened when I was watching that movie. I felt like I believed in cinema. Like, I know that's a movie that, by today's standards, is like quote unquote like mid. But man, that movie is so much fun. And as much as I do love the sequels, and in some ways even a little better at times, I love how inventive that movie is, and how it does its it's like action set pieces, like with what they do with all the various animals and the various traps, and how it's like, you know, it's not a scary movie, but there's stuff in there. It's like that's kind of terrifying as like a kid who lived in a house in like a trailer, where it's like this stuff could just come out of like a board game. Like that's terrifying as a kid. And like I think it's such a fun concept. Just as like, you know, I know it's based on like the book for like from the 80s, but like that's such a fun concept to be like, well, you know, it's this cursed board game that anything can happen. I feel like it kind of not ahead of like D&D, but I feel like it's almost very like D&D inspired, and just like that dynamic. Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, it's good.
You said franchise and you said Robin Williams. I'm like, Aladdin?
I could have easily had him on my list.
All right, so 3Dub, what is next on your list?
I was fighting between 1994 and 1997, but ultimately went with Austin Powers International Man of Mystery.
That's a good one. I forgot those were 90s movies.
Oh, baby. Yeah.
Except for the third one. Third one's in 2002.
Yeah, but I still felt like they were later on. That's crazy they were in the 90s. I forgot about that completely. Those another quotable franchise.
Oh, yeah.
Austin Powers is so quotable. Like
one of the only things I actually enjoy Will Ferrell in.
Yeah.
And the one I was fighting with went to honorable mentions, and it's Ace Ventura.
Oh, that's a good one too. It's another good one. I missed a super chat earlier, but this is from Cameron, $2 super chat. Does 1993 Meteor Man count as a superhero? Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I actually like this movie, but I feel like people forget about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if we were doing a forgettable movie list, this might fall on that list for like the vast majority of the public.
And forgettable doesn't mean bad. It just means
no, not at all. I enjoy the film, so I think it's a movie. When you think about superhero movies, people just forget about it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the super chat, Cameron. If you're still here, I appreciate it. Sorry I missed that. That was like 20 minutes ago. All right. So we're back to me now. We are at number 2. Number 2 from me is at the end of the 90s.
Okay.
1999. I feel like this might be one that somebody has.
Not me.
Nobody has 99? Am I the only one?
Nope.
I already gave my 99.
All right. The Matrix.
Well, that was my honorable mention. So.
This movie established so many things in cinema, for better or worse. I mean, a lot of the movies we have today is still chasing what the original Matrix was trying to do. I feel like the final 2 Matrix movies that were set up from this one were established in a way that set up modern cinema in that way. So for me, and I love Keanu Reeves in this movie. Yeah. This movie, Jake, as we were talking about martial arts, this was an extension of Blade.
Yep.
I feel like the Matrix happened because Blade happened, so they followed that up. Yeah. We had the bullet time effects, which had never been done before. The whole concept of living inside the Matrix is still in pop culture today.
Yeah.
A lot of the incel guys use it, which is not the best way to use it, but
the
point is it still exists today.
Yeah.
Right.
And we had a really bad Matrix movie recently, Matrix Revolutions, but we're not going to talk about that one.
And another one's coming.
I know.
I just went temporarily deaf and didn't hear anything.
will say as a standalone movie, you subtract everything after it.
Yes.
The first Matrix might be, in like Jurassic Park in a lot of ways, a perfect individual film by itself without any additional stuff after it.
I agree.
So that's why it's number 2 for me. I struggled between this and my number 1, but my number 1 is a movie that was so relevant to me and my friends that when I get to it, I can't wait to talk about it. So we'll get there in a second, but that's my number 2 movie, which is The Matrix. So Jake, you're next.
Just really quickly on the like negative side of the Matrix effects. It's the reason we got those suits in the X-Men movies.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Well, what would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Plain Matrix.
Yeah, so that's another thing is there's been a lot of conversations about like the parallels and allegories in the Matrix as well, which I think has started a lot of interesting conversations. The movie is just culturally on another level than a lot of films.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Jake.
Next.
Yep.
Okay, so my number 2, this is one that I thought somebody was going to take. So far, it hasn't been taken yet. From 1994, I have The Shawshank Redemption.
That's a great one.
I thought about it. I almost did it.
This is one that, I mean, I just had to put on there. I know I love that prison atmosphere that's done in movies and TV shows, and there's so many different ways that it's handled. Like whether you're talking about ways that it's been handled in movies and TVs, there's so many different stories that you can tell from inside that environment. You can do really deep character studies, which The Shawshank Redemption really is to an extent, and it kind of switches perspectives back and forth between the 2 lead characters. Of course, you have Morgan Freeman's character and you have Tim Robbins' character. It kind of switches back and forth between them because you're getting essentially a narration of the events that Morgan Freeman's character sees, but Tim Robbins' character Andy is the main character, the lead that's going through those events, and it not only does it shy away from the brutal and unforgiving nature of prisons, but by the time it reaches the end and they're edging closer and closer towards that inevitable escape, you're just following him through every struggle that he makes to get out of that pipe, and as he's climbing further and further up, culminating in one of the most beautiful shots from a film still whenever he looks up into the rain and just raises his hands. Love that film to bits. It is one of the few films where it is flat out 1-to-1 with the book, that didn't have a lot of deviations there, at least none that I can remember off the top of my head. So yeah, absolutely love this film. I even did a paper on it back whenever I was taking film classes. Yeah, absolutely love it to bits, so had to include it.
All right, so now we are moving on to Darren. What is your next choice on your list?
I really hate doing my final 2 after Shawshank, Jake. You're making mine because they're not like critically acclaimed movies whatsoever. My next one, and to kind of carry on my Robin Williams crusade, I was very close to putting Dead Poets Society
I think I know
on,
it. I think I know
that's
it.
1989. I couldn't do that.
There's
a lot of Robin Williams movies I could have done. He killed the 90s.
Yeah.
I did Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yep, I knew it.
Oh, that's good though.
Love that movie.
I love Mrs. Doubtfire. I was
such a good movie. It's such a fun movie. It's a good family movie too.
It's awesome.
It's really good.
I was just so enamored by that opening of the movie when it's like Robin Williams doing all the impressions inside the sound booth, me being like, how does he do that?
And he's not acting. Yeah, that's something Robin Williams just does.
They just let him go. They just let him improv in that thing. It's so much fun. It's
Shut your mouth, young man.
So many memorable moments, and I love movies where you can kind of just let actors go and let them improv, let them do their whole things, and half that movie is just him improv.
Because that's when you get the best performances.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I could have done Aladdin as well, but I was like, I'm gonna like. I purposely just did Lion King for Disney because I could have just done the whole Renaissance. I could have just done Aladdin, Little Mermaid. I could have just done the whole package. But I was like, Yeah, let's pick some other stuff.
Yeah.
All
All right.
doesn't know, little fun fact for anybody who doesn't know, Robin Williams was actually roommates with the late and great Kevin Conroy, voice of Batman.
Whoa,
They were roommates in college.
that's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like they were surrounded by, like a bunch of people like Christopher Reeve, Kelsey Grammer, bunch of greats.
All right, so 3W, you are on your second to last choice. So what is your next one?
Number 4 had also a fight with 98 and 92, but 92 won,
Okay.
and that is Wayne's World.
Oh, Wayne's World. Party time.
No stairway.
Excellent.
Denied.
Foxy lady. Yeah, no, I love Wayne's World. It's such a good movie. Very, very rarely does Saturday Night Live give us something that's like a full-fledged thing outside of a skit. So that's why I love that so much, because it really did just sort of blow up out of nowhere. What was the other one? You said it was a choice between that and...
The honorable mention is The Truman Show.
Oh, that's also really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. All right. Okay. So my number one, and I do have an honorable mention that I'm going to say after my number one, because it's sort of tied. These two movies kind of tied for number one for me for different reasons. But my number one movie was from 1995. I think we double checked my list.
Okay. I'm just waiting for the year. I was like, please don't take mine.
1995 is a little movie that is probably, in my opinion, one of the most quotable movies from the 90s that still gets quoted today. And matter of fact, has a quote in it that is still used today that came back into pop culture in the last 5 years. That is Friday with Ice Cube. Bye, Felicia. That one is my number one movie. I love that movie. I've probably watched that movie so many times, and it is so quotable. It's one of those movies that has so many... How did you get fired on your day off? There's so many things in that movie that are quotable.
You got knocked the fuck out, man.
Right, exactly. I love that first Friday movie. The other ones are kind of they're up and down a little bit, but the first one, again, the very first one, the 90s has a reputation for the first of a thing being singularly great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jurassic Park or Friday or The Matrix or a lot of these movies.
And in hindsight, working better on its own than in a franchise.
Right. The other one that almost tied for that for me is a Robin Williams movie, matter of fact, that Darren has not mentioned. This one was important to me because it was one of the first times that my friends got to sort of interact with my world outside of my friend group. Because when I was hanging out at the mall with my friends, I was in a culture of video games and mall culture. But I had my outside, the life that I had outside of that, where I was going to clubs and interacting with people. The very first thing that I got to share with them that actually we went and saw multiple times was a movie called The Birdcage. With Robin Williams.
I've heard about that, yeah.
And it is a movie that is problematic-ish by today's standards, I would say that. It's based on a French film. But I liked it because I was DJing at that time. It was the mid-90s. I was working at a lot of bars. And so there was a lot of things in that movie that reminded me of the jobs that I had at that time. And I didn't really have a chance to share any of that with my friends because we were mall friends. We hung out at the mall together. We went to do things in the mall as friends. We went to play video games together. Yeah. But The Birdcage actually blended those two worlds together, and then they sort of understood, so you're playing music at bars where they're doing female impersonation and stuff like that. So it was an opportunity to sort of blend all of that together. So for me, that was a great, plus I love Nathan Lane. I think Nathan Lane was great in that movie. I think Robin Williams was great in that movie. There's so many fun things there.
Hank Azaria too, right?
Yes, Hank Azaria, which, by the way, he talks about his role being quite controversial because he's I probably wouldn't do it today because it was one of those things where back then it was whatever. But I have to tell him, most of the people in the community love Hank.
Right.
So it's not really a big problem in that regard. Mallrats was good too.
Mallrats, yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about that fucking movie.
I had that in my honorable mentions.
That's a great fucking movie. Mallrats is so good. So fucking good.
I'll throw this out because we were talking about Hank Azaria. For anybody that's watched the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, Hank Azaria was the voice of Venom. I'll throw that out there in case anybody didn't know that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are coming to our final options. So that's my final. So we're going to, in order to move this along quickly, Give your final one, and then you can do like 2 honorable mentions, but nothing
Okay.
more than 2, right?
Okay.
So, Jake, you're up.
Oh, is it me? Okay. So my final one, I'm glad no one said this. I had a feeling it was probably safe, but there was like a sneaking suspicion. I was like, well, somebody might get this. Thankfully, no one did. From 1992, I have this little movie called Army of Darkness.
Oh, makes
I did put
sense.
that one out there.
Makes sense based on what you said earlier.
Yeah,
Okay.
based on what I've said earlier and whose filmography and work that I have an attachment to. That's one that really got me into, that kind of got me into the horror genre, because prior to that point, I was honestly kind of bored with the genre. But the fact that, we were able, that movie just mixed horror, comedy, and action, and it mixed a lot of different, genres so successfully. It has, not only does it have Sam Raimi's creative flair, Bruce Campbell's charisma is just all over that screen. Also, another movie.
Meister said I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, okay. So many quotable moments too.
Yeah,
there are so many quotable moments in that movie. And again, I just have that's another one that I watched with my dad on repeat. And it's clear, Sam Raimi's been a part of my life for a long time.
we might have to do, like, based on everybody in the chat, we might have to revisit a 90s list down the road with like different things that we didn't say this time, because there's so many things that are like, you should say this, you should say this. So many of them.
There are so many.
Did you have at least one honorable mention that you wanted to mention at all, or?
So I had a couple. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So one of them was mentioned in the chat already. That was Mallrats.
Yes.
Absolutely love that movie to bits. I think that's one of Jason Lee's best films, personally, that he's done.
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee as well. Yes. Another movie that this is a Disney movie that I'm surprised did not get mentioned yet. I have Beauty and the Beast.
Disney's golden era, I would say, is the 90s.
Yeah.
So it would be hard to mention so many Disney movies.
Yeah, I had Beauty and the Beast in there as my honorable
That's a great
mentions.
one.
Another film that I watched on repeat a lot, to the point where I pretty much had it memorized, and where I did wear the tape out of its reel.
Have a good night, Darth Zen. Sleep
The
good.
point where, just watched it so much that the tape eventually got worn.
Wow.
And the last honorable mention that I throw in there comes from a genre that I typically don't really have that much of an interest in, but this film is the exception. From 1993, my last honorable mention is Tombstone.
That's a good one. Western, right?
Yeah. I'm typically not into Westerns, but Tombstone is the exception. It's got, stacked cast top to bottom: Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott, Kirk Russell, Val Kilmer, rest in peace to him.
Great cast. Great fucking cast.
Great cast. Just really good tone, very visceral. A lot of, again, another very quotable film.
Probably one of the only modern Westerns that felt like it could have been made in the era when like Westerns were really popular, like in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, because a lot of other ones that were made, you can feel that, they were dated.
Right.
Whereas this one, I think, still holds up incredibly well. So, that was the last honorable mention I had, but I had to put it out there.
All right. So, all right, Darren, you are on your final one, and any honorable mentions you might have?
This is such a silly one to do for my final one.
Oh, no.
And it was kind of like the last one I put on here, because I was like, there's a lot of ways I could go about this, but just to make this list more interesting, this is a movie I grew up on. A lot of people grew up on. And as I've gone older, I've realized that, like, at the time of its release was not critically successful in terms of, that kind of things. It's viewed as like a quote-unquote bad movie. It's Space Jam.
I love Space Jam.
I love Space Jam. I
love Space Jam.
It's so really interesting to me, because look at the 90s as a decade. Like, we have these range of movies where it's like so many different things we can talk about. But Space Jam was great.
It's such a quotable
good soundtrack
movie.
Too.
It is what I think of when I think of Looney Tunes, and I feel like they have. I don't know, to me, if they've ever replicated that for like that comedy and the way that they're portrayed in that movie, to the point that I later on as a kid watched regular Looney Tunes. I was like, that's not Looney Tunes. That's not what.
It's not Space Jams. What are we? They're not playing basketball. What's happening here?
What is this? And it was so interesting watching the sequel maybe a couple years ago, and maybe that was terrible. But then people being like, yeah, but the original was terrible too.
But you know what? I also I don't know if you guys had this in your area or if you remember it, but when I was growing up, when Space Jam was coming out, there were these like bootleg Looney Tunes clothes. Did you remember those? So
yes.
Like, there were people that would wear like Bugs Bunny dressed up in like streetwear. Do you remember that? Like with like the
Yes, yes,
hoodie on
yes,
and the big
yes.
gold chains and stuff like that. When
Yes.
when Space Jam came out, there was like a mass amount of those things being produced that were sold on the black market.
Yeah.
Like if you went to like a swap meet or
Yeah.
something, you'd see them out on the side of the road. I remember there was a mall near me. Sorry to go off on a tangent here, but this made me think of this.
Good.
There was a mall near me where they had these like all these cars out in the parking lot, and everybody there was selling like their own printed stuff. And you could go there and get like the knockoff everything. And they had so many of those shirts with like knockoff Looney Tunes characters on them, dressed in like streetwear with like sagging jeans or
Hell yeah.
big tennis
Yeah.
shoes or like hoodies or whatever, gold teeth, like all that. And I remember I wanted them so badly. Like we would go there and I'd want to buy them so badly. And my mom was just like, "But they're not real. It's a knockoff one." I'm like, "I don't care. I want it anyway. Like, I
Right.
want to get that." You know what I mean?
Like I want it, yeah.
So it was so popular in school, and you could only in our area you could only really get it from like this one sort of like once a week like community driven like market. So it was just really funny to me. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Tweety was big for 90s clothing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
much Tweety Bird stuff.
Yes, there was a
Yeah,
lot.
they were knockoffs. Anything that came out with like the streetwear stuff and Looney Tunes characters together that were not from Space Jam were considered knockoffs. So
Yeah. And
Oh.
just to like reiterate my honorable mention, I already mentioned it, but like the entire Disney era of the 90s from like Hercules, Tarzan,
right.
Lion
Hercules,
King.
Hercules.
I mean,
Yeah,
That's
it's-
awesome.
Toy Story came out in what was it, 95? That launched
Yeah.
Pixar, which is my
Yeah.
favorite film studio of
Right.
all time.
We might have to do okay. So, chat, let us know right now. Do you want me to include more '90s categories in the
Fun.
upcoming polls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we could spend so much time. I could do like favorite '90s cartoon, favorite '90s Pixar movie, like so many different
So,
things that we could do.
I just thought of like two more that would have made my honorable mentions list if it were longer. Airheads, great musical comedy. I've seen that. I love
Yeah.
Airheads to bits. Some people crap on it. I
Yeah.
do not care. And also, I'm surprised no one said this at all. Home Alone.
Home Alone, yeah,
Yeah,
but
I thought
but that's what
about
I'm
it.
saying. Like we would be here all night. So let's go
Right.
ahead and move on to
Yeah,
3
more
Dub.
90s. More
So
90s.
we'll do more '90s categories. So 3 Dub, what is your final choice? And if you have a couple honorable mentions,
So I also had to fight with 93 and 91, but
Okay.
93 won.
all right.
And it's the Three Musketeers with
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Great
Charlie
cast.
Sheen.
Another great cast.
And my honorable mentions are Tommy Boy, 95, and The Parent Trap, 98.
Oh, another good one.
Yeah.
Jeez, like so good, such good options. All right, so with that being said, I did have one final topic. I just want to bring this up very quickly, and then we're gonna look and see what the poll. By the way, vote on the poll if you're in the Reloaded channel. Vote on the poll if you're on the Debunks channel. You can come over and you can participate in the poll if you'd like to, and vote, and then go back to the other one. I wanted to bring this up quickly before we jump out of here. though,
That was
'cause-
fun.
No, it's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, we're gonna have to do more of those. Where's this at? Where's it at? Oh my gosh, I had it right here on my screen and now it's gone. No. Oh, here it is, right here. So I saw this tweet and I thought we'd talk about it for a second before we go. It's about The Last of Us season 2. So somebody tweeted out, "Go woke, go broke." And it says The Last of Us lost half its audience.
I saw your
in
comment,
just one
too.
season. Did we not forget, or did they forget what happened in season 1 of the show?
Yep.
I mean, if we're arguing in levels of wokeness, which is what they argue here, season 1 had 2 episodes that pretty much involved gay relationships. Episode 3 is arguably one of the best gay relationship episodes of TV of all time. And then it's one of the later episodes where it's like the lesbian relationship happens. I can't remember. It's like, what is it, like 7 or 8? I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah.
Where they're in the mall together. How is this season 2 more woke than that? I mean, I hate using woke in the way they use it, but I'm trying to put my mind in their head
Because
for
they
this.
don't know how to.
Like, on top of that, it's actually a lie. Because
I think the real thing is lose Pedro, you go broke, or
Yeah.
get half the viewers.
there was a response under here, I wish I could find it now, from Grok, or Grok, however you pronounce the name of this fucking AI. Anyway, I don't see it anymore. I must have deleted their comment. But the reality is that the season actually had a higher viewership compared to the previous season. The final episode had less viewers, but it was on Memorial Day weekend. So the viewership for Monday and Tuesday went up on replay because it was less on the night that the show aired, which was on a holiday weekend. So on top of that, you don't pay per episode.
Yeah.
How is it Get Woke Go Broke when you're not paying per episode for the show? That just doesn't make any sense.
Now let's see if releasing on multiple holiday weekends will screw Stranger Things.
Oh my gosh. So stupid. So absolutely stupid. All right. We did have a super chat, by the way. 2 super chats, I think.
The only thing that went broke in season 2 was Pedro's. You know what? Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Lone Wolf with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Lone Wolf. Some of my favorite 90 films in no order. The Matrix, I agree, was my number 2. Scream, great.
Yeah.
Face Off, another iconic movie. Groundhog Day. There's been so many copies of Groundhog Day, in film. Pulp Fiction. The Truman Show, which 3Dub had as his honorary one or whatever. The Sixth Sense. Independence Day.
Terminator 2.
Number 1 is Terminator 2.
So many good ones. And there's still so many that we haven't even mentioned yet.
Staggervore with the 199 super chat. Thank you, Staggervore. Honorable mention, Dumb and Dumber, another great movie, which, by the way, again, a good movie that had bad, fucking spinoffs from it. And Dumb and Dumberer was not as good.
I could probably say this about, everybody here. There's probably some, what people would call bad 90s movies that we like. I mean, Eric's, was Hackers, that first
Hackers,
movie.
Yeah.
We could probably make entire lists of quote-unquote bad 90s movies.
You know what I might do? What I might do?
We like.
We might say, I might go something like, what movies top 5 list of movies we love that scored less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Another one that we could do is
Madam Web. Let's go.
Darren,
stop
lying.
I'm gonna get real creative with these lists so we can do these later
another
on.
One that
catalog
would be,
of list, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Another one that we could probably do is top 5 movies that feel like 90s but are in the early 2000s.
We could do that. I mean, that would be subjective, but we could definitely do it.
Holdovers.
Yeah, holdovers from the 90s. So, all right, let's see what you guys picked. We're gonna go over now and see what was selected.
Oh fucking god! Somebody said Morbin Time.
Oh my gosh. All right, so in the
reason
poll,
that movie came out on April Fool's Day.
The winner of the list, barely scraping by, is going to be Team Battle. So we're going to be doing that on the next stream. Let me explain how Team Battle is going to work. Okay, I will give an option of 4 different mega villains from Marvel or DC, and then here on the stream, I will pull up a Google Doc. So that way we can see everybody's team. And we have to pick 5 characters from whichever franchise these villains are from to build a team to stop them. Then the chat will decide who the winner is. And the winner, whoever's team wins, if it is not me, I will give them $5. So if your team wins, you get $1 per character on your team. So you get $5 if your team wins. So that will be on that'll be on Monday's stream.
And you're not doing movie versions of these villains, right?
Oh, I will determine when I will put up there Thanos from the MCU or Thanos from the comics. So,
okay.
So we'll know who it is.
Oh god, that's gonna make things even more complicated.
And to be fair, I got this idea from a stream I did with Darren.
Oh, so it's your fault. You down there. Yeah, you.
Because we were basically building teams on his stream, and I was like, oh, this would be really fun if we let the chat pick a villain. You know what? Matter of fact, to go ahead and get our brains ready for this.
That spin wheel would also be kind of fun to do. Have a bunch of random characters and just click the button and it spins and you.
That was a really fun stream that we did 3Dubs. We did a stream back in the day, as if it was 2 years ago, where we had a wheel of Arrowverse characters, and whatever wheel it landed on, we had to pitch that show and be like, okay, what would this random ass TV show be like?
Oh my
One
God.
was like Cecile or some shit. Be like, all right, what would a Cecile show look
You know,
like?
Canada Graphs would have loved that one. Hey, actually, Darren, you know what would have been super ironic? If one of those wheels landed on Mia.
We had some like legitimately cool ones. Like I think we had like a Ragman one. Of like, you know what? I really want this.
Yeah, because we could have seen him for more than like 8 episodes. Oh, another chat.
Let's see.
Die Hard 2.
Okay, we'll pull that up while I'm writing out these choices here. So a $2 super chat from Lone Wolf. Guys, what about Die Hard 2? Okay, so that's a good question. I liked Die Hard, obviously not a 90s movie,
Yeah.
but Die Hard 2 was. What do we think about Die Hard 2? Do we remember that movie? Does anybody remember it?
I mean, I like it.
I've only seen the first one.
It's not my favorite. I mean, I obviously can't, put it next to the first one in this example because the first one's an 80s movie, but it's not my favorite in the franchise. In fact, I'd say it's probably my least favorite out of all of them.
Okay, so I'm getting ready to put up a poll. We have at least 90 people watching right now. This poll is going to be which villain we'll be building our team for on Monday night. So they're going to pick the villain right now. This will be the villain we're up against. So start thinking about what 5 characters in this world you're going to use to make your team. And the rule is you can't pick the same character as someone else.
God damn it.
Okay,
So you have to build the team, and we will decide the order based on a roll of the dice on Monday.
What
So
are the villain options? Because I can't see the poll.
I'm getting ready to put the poll up right now.
Okay.
So here goes the
Oh
poll.
God.
Here it goes. The options are Thanos in the MCU,
Okay.
Reverse Flash in the Arrowverse, Black Adam from the DCEU, even though he's not really a villain, or the Black Order from the MCU, the 4 members of the Black Order that we got to see in Infinity War and Endgame.
Can we pick Rotten Tomatoes for going against Black Adam?
Maybe.
Because he couldn't beat them.
Right. So basically the way it's going to work is
nanites.
the way it's going to work is
Damn it, Darren.
you can only pick characters from those franchises, right? You have to build a team of 5,
Right.
and then the chat will decide which team wins.
God, Darren just made me laugh. Oh man, I
I
have
just
not
picked
thought about.
Ray Palmer. Just
I have not thought about that in so long.
nanites
Mr.
courtesy
Davis-
Ray Palmer.
And you'll have to plead your case to the chat. Like, you'll have to tell them why you think your team and why the characters you're picking.
So when it comes to
Panther
people like
Davis-
villains in TV seasons, are we going with like everything we saw from somebody like Thawne throughout all 9 seasons?
Yes.
Or okay.
To answer Jaybird's question of how strong Reverse Flash is in the Arrowverse, I'm going to say he keeps coming back.
That's
when
what I'm
you
saying.
see him.
Like you have to stop him and stop him permanently. This is a death
This
battle.
is a killing. This is a
Fucking-
killing scenario.
What is his name? Chester beat Thawne in the final episode.
Allegra beat Thawne.
I'm doing Thawne just because I think it's funny.
Black Adam's pretty unfair because The Rock can't lose. Okay, Maestro. We'll see.
I mean,
So right now we have 18 votes, and the winning choice is Reverse Flash from the Arrowverse.
it would have been curious. Like, I'm not harping on you for your picks, but it would have been interesting to do like Darkseid in the DCEU because we never saw that fight go down.
Well, we might do that. That might be one like later on. So I didn't want to do it on this one because I wanted it to be very diverse in options. Because
Gotcha.
Darkseid I feel like is really similar to Thanos.
Yeah.
And so you may have already said this, but like, what are our like shopping pools in terms of characters? Is it just their
So
universe? Or-
yeah. So when I say Reverse Flash Arrowverse, that means anybody who is in the Arrowverse. So any
Gotcha.
character we've had in the Arrowverse. Unfortunately, Superman and Lois don't count because they're adjacent to the Arrowverse, but they're not in the Arrowverse.
There's still a Superman.
There is, but I would not probably use that Superman against
fast?
Reverse
I'm
Flash,
faster.
Yeah, fair.
So what will happen is on Monday we all have to come in. I will roll dice on screen to see. I'm going to roll D&D dice. So everybody will get to choose. We'll roll, and then that'll be your number. And then that's the order we will be going in. And
I have another follow-up question. Do they
Yeah.
have to be alive?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, because I mean, like the villains, like all the villains for the most part that he named aren't even alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's anybody that's ever existed in that universe. And you have to plead your case as you're building your team. And then the chat will determine who the winner is based on their team.
Okay.
And what I'll do is I'll pull a Google Doc up on the screen since it's 4 of us. And I will just write out the names of the characters as we pick them. So everybody has an option there. So right now, in the poll, Reverse Flash from the Arrowverse is winning. We're going to wait another 2 minutes to make it a 5-minute poll.
I'm going to say that Barry Allen is off limits because he's too easy. He's too easy of a
You
pick.
can still pick him. If you win, if you
everyone's gonna
go
pick-
first 3-Dub and you want to pick Barry Allen, you can.
Everyone's going to pick him.
I mean, you could, technically.
But there's a lot of speedsters, man. There's a lot of speedsters.
Keep in mind, these characters on your team don't have to be heroes.
Yeah.
You can pick anybody from the Arrowverse to put on your team.
Wow.
Anybody. It's just a team. Say, for example, you were like the Spectre and you were picking your 5 champions. That's what you're doing. And they have to fight for you. So it's not like they have to agree or they have a reason to do it. It is simply, do you think this character could defeat this other character? That's the way it works. Yours truly said I'm choosing Cecile. Well, I mean, you could.
Well, I mean, she one-shot like 50 Godspeeds, so...
She's also a plot device. So yeah.
She absolutely is. Every single season she was.
She can
Ever
move the
since
plot
Joe
along.
had to leave, ever since they made Joe leave for a few episodes, she became a plot device. That was what happened.
You mean ever since they got a new showrunner?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Would you guys like it if maybe in a future list I put in characters from the comics themselves and then we have to build a team from the comic books? Would that be fair game?
Yeah.
I mean, that leaves the door open for a lot of options.
Might cause some more arguments, but...
Yeah. Yeah. So, let's see. All right, so we've done 5 minutes. Let's end the poll and see what people picked.
I've already made an Arrowverse team in case Thon wins with 4 backups in case mine get taken.
All right, so Thon did win. So on Monday, the bonus topic will be this team battle that you guys picked. So
Let's go.
Thon is the villain, and we can pick anyone and everyone to build our team, and it will be decided. Let me show you guys how we're going to do this decision here, so you guys know.
Beyond your understanding.
I have a pick in mind that I know no one else is going to pick.
Same here. Same here.
Uh-oh.
So what we'll do is
I doubt it.
We'll pull this up on the screen. Let me see. I use this for my D&D stuff. So it's a dice roller. So this is an example of how we will do it. So I will start first, and I will roll a D4. Actually, yeah, we'll do a D4. And then whatever number I get... No, actually, we'll do a D20. So that way it's just like highest to lowest. So whoever rolls the highest is first, and so on and so on. So my first roll is a 3. Not good for me. So that means I have a 3 as my number. We'll roll again for Jake. Jake gets a
Mario Party.
5. So that means Jake would be ahead of me now. Darren gets a 13.
Yahoo!
So Darren is in lead right now. And 3-Dub gets a 2. So the order would be, if we were going by this, it would be Darren, Jake, me, and 3-Dub.
Here I was thinking you were going to get actual physical D&D dice.
I have those in the other room. But this is the best way to do it so the screen can actually see what we're doing.
Yeah.
I love Murderbot. It's really good. Definitely recommend watching that. It's going to be the Welzabard Reverse Flash. That's the one we're going to be facing off against.
Oh, so no Ledger?
No.
Okay.
Wish we got a Reverse Flash versus Zoom or DeVoe episode. You might get it to this time. You might see that happen. Because again, you can pick anyone you want. So technically, you could have Matt Lesher's Reverse Flash go up against Welzabard if you want. Because they're like 2 different versions of Reverse Flash. So start coming up with some ideas for a team. Because again, we don't choose who wins. The chat does. And whoever wins, I will cash app them $5 if it's not me.
Yeah, he just cash apps himself.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, let me send $5 to myself. So there is money on. There's big money on the line. Okay, big money on the line for picking the best team.
I love that it's probably just going to be $5 if someone donates into the chat.
Right, probably. Well, Darren, you might have just convinced everybody to not donate anymore.
Yes, no. I will. Yeah, so it'll be a fan-funded thing, I guess, is the way we put it. Anyway, no, it'll be a lot of fun. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to do. So definitely tune in for that on Monday. Now there will be a bonus stream.
Coffee is on the line.
There's a bonus stream on Sunday, and that's going to be a stream to all, which is what I'm going to call it. I've already got the thumbnail made and everything. So basically what that is anybody that joins can stream to their channel, so they can use viewership numbers and everything for their channel as well. And the topics for Sunday right now, because it's not going to be a normal, like, regular, like, topical stream. It's going to be, like, bonus topics. Everybody might want to write this down if they want. If not, I'll just remind them, because Darren just does it on the fly anyway, so it doesn't matter. Our top five Arrowverse villains. And that could be everybody from like a one episode villain to like...
These are topics that are like being brought up throughout the Sunday stream?
Yeah, it's the topics for the Sunday stream.
Okay.
So top five Arrowverse villains. They can be anybody from like a one episode villain to a season long villain. The other topic is going to be our top five MCU costumes. So pick your favorite MCU costumes from TV shows or movies. It doesn't matter.
Do you have a rule of one per character?
No, you can pick different designs if you want.
Okay.
The thing is,
arrow suit.
yeah. And the thing is, if you want to like have a tab open with like these different suits in it, so you can show people, you can share your screen, and I'll pull it up on the screen if you want.
Did you already mention the wasted MCU villains, or was that?
That's Sunday as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasted MCU villains?
Wait,
yeah,
is it wasted or favorites?
It's both. So no. That's the three topics are favorite Arrowverse villains, top five favorite MCU costumes, and then we're gonna have a discussion about villains. This is not a top five list, okay? This is just who we think are wasted MCU villains. It doesn't have to be a list.
Okay.
Like we can just name a couple of them.
For the costumes, it's not just heroes, right?
It's anybody.
Okay.
It's MCU costumes.
Okay.
Period. So yeah.
Out of curiosity, with the whole shared... actually, I can talk about it later. I can talk about it once we're
okay. All right.
out of here.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks for all your super chats. I do appreciate it. we forgot we were still live. Thanks for everything. We will be live on Sunday at 4:00. It's going to be a 4 to 6 stream. So definitely stop in. Monday night will be normal time for the Nerdcast, so around 11-ish, whatever. Guys, can't super chat now. What about Batman Returns? Batman Returns is good as well. So there was a lot. I think Batman Returns is better than Batman, to be honest. But
I don't have that opinion, but see, like we can still disagree.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks for all the super chats and being here supporting. Make sure also congratulations over on the Debunks channel for the top 3 people. The Master over there is number 1. Jay Kung is number 2, and Candles Jr. is number 3. So thank you guys so much for doing that. Or the Maestro, I think. Why does it say the Master in community? Oh, it's because it's your @. Got it. All right.
Oh.
So the Maestro. All right. Anyway, have a good night, everyone, and we'll see everybody on Sunday. Bye.